Chapter 1686. In the ethereal imperial city, Night Moon Villa, Lin Xian'er, Songning, and Datira's original body were drinking tea. Datira told them about the results of today's battle. In fact, Lin Xian'er's original body in the city lord's residence had already received the news. In the celestial realm, the law of the jungle was the law of the jungle, but everyone was very cautious and would not easily start a conflict with others. There were not many battles between forces. Even if there were battles, it was the strong who fought the weak. Today, Star Moon Lake, which was not on the same level as Donghao Mountain, took the initiative to attack and destroy Donghao Mountain. This was beyond everyone's expectations, and had overturned everyone's view of war. Be careful to hide your tracks. The other party has a divination master. If the divination master finds out where you're resting, it'll be troublesome, Lin Xian'er said. She wanted to use Devil's Snare to warn Yishang. Night Sorrow has thought about this before, but I don't know how he implemented it. The battle strategy was arranged by him, and we executed it under his leadership, Datira said. Sister Xian'er, Donghao Mountain is going to go crazy this time, right? The cities that Night Sorrow and the others destroyed were all well-developed and resource-rich cities. Many heavenly monarchs were also killed, Songning said. If Donghao Yunjie cannot find Night Sorrow's tracks and predict Night Sorrow's target, Donghao Mountain will lose this battle. This battle will also become a classic battle in the celestial realm, Lin Xian'er said. Donghao Yunjie was the leader of Donghao Mountain. When we fought in the past, we directly pushed forward with people and horses. Everyone fought head-on. It was too crude. Even if there were sneak attacks, no one would play it so cleverly, Songning said. Normally, in a war between factions, it's a competition of strength. Whoever is weaker will be crushed. Once their base is attacked, they'll be destroyed. Night Sorrow's battle strategy can't be used by others. The point of view is that you have to be Wuyo or have no base to use it, Lin Xian'er said. She had seen things very clearly. So Night Sorrow is very grateful to Misty Dynasty for protecting Star Moon Lake. After the battle, he should give Misty Dynasty an explanation, Datira said. She knew her husband very well. Explanation? What explanation do you need? Protect Star Moon Lake, isn't that what War Emperor said? Songning said. I haven't been married for a long time, Datira said, but I know him very well. His principles can't be changed. He doesn't owe anyone, and he doesn't let himself lower his personality. I'm not sure I know what he's thinking. Thought I is. What a tiring life, Songning muttered. But he lives with pride. No matter who he meets, he can speak with a straight back. He doesn't need to lower his posture. Aluo, tell him to be careful, Lin Xian'er said. At this moment, the meeting hall of Donghao Mountain was filled with people. Donghao Yunjie sat in the main seat. Below him sat Donghao Ju and the elders of Donghao Mountain. There was also a divination master sitting cross-legged in the hall. Donghao Yunjie was very angry. An emperor dared to attack Donghao Mountain. This was a slap in the face of Donghao monarch. The divination master began from the body of the last city lord to be killed. At first, the scene was normal. However, after Night Sorrow was teleported, it was gray because there was an illusion array blocking the outside environment. In the end, the divination master saw Night Sorrow enter the spatial treasure and smash it into the ground. Mountain Lord, he must have purposely avoided being exposed. He must have thought about how to avoid being detected by divination. The pale-faced divination master bowed to Donghao Yunjie. Donghao Yunjie, who was sitting in the main seat, had a sharp face and an aquiline nose. His face was ashen because he couldn't find Night Sorrow's trace. He couldn't defend himself. Damn it. When we catch him, we'll make him beg for death. Donghao Ju was even angrier. Many people in the hall looked at him, because this was caused by him leading people to surround Moonstar Lake. Watch it for free forever. The problem now is how to stop him from attacking our cities. 10 cities have been breached in one day. And we've lost tens of millions of Saint Spirit stones and countless resources. The cost of restoring our cities to normal is too great. If we can't catch him, we'll suffer more losses, said Donghao Yunjie. Mount Donghao was an old faction that had been developing for many years, and had never been attacked. As such, the resources given to the city guards for their daily expenses and rewards were all stored there. There were millions of Saint Spirit stones, and the city lord's residents stored these resources because the city needed to be developed and constructed. Father, tomorrow my original body and clone will go out and patrol the cities. Once we catch him, we can solve the problem and avenge my brother, said Dong Haoju. All right. Tomorrow, my main body and doppelganger will move out as well. Great Elder, Second Elder, you guys do the same. However, if you encounter him, the first thing you need to do is restrain him. According to the reports from our subordinates, he is not weak. Donghao Yunjia made the arrangements. Donghao Mountain had 4 monarch realm cultivators. Donghao Yunjia and Donghao Ju were monarchs while the Great Elder and Second Elder were 1-star monarchs. The path to becoming a monarch was very difficult. If you didn't break through to the monarch realm, it would be a smooth journey. It was very difficult to grasp the power of heaven and earth. Knight Sorrow was drinking wine in the Haotian pagoda. He didn't use much energy in the battles during the day. His opponents were all killed instantly. They couldn't resist. However, he knew that there would be danger starting tomorrow. His opponents could only think of 2 ways. One was to attack Star Moon Lake, and the other was to patrol and wait for him. Knight Sorrow felt that Donghao Mountain wouldn't dare to attack Star Moon Lake, because they would have to face the wrath of the Misty Dynasty. Donghao Mountain was a giant in front of Star Moon Lake, but it was a grasshopper in front of the Misty Dynasty. Even if Donghao Mountain didn't dare to attack Star Moon Lake, Knight Sorrow still made the arrangements. Star Moon Lake's defensive array was fully activated. Jinling, Ice Dragon, and Shilia were in charge of the array. If the opponent attacked, they would resist first and everyone would retreat. Currently, in Star Moon City, other than the essential personnel, everyone had retreated. Some retreated to the Primal Chaos Domain to wait. Some retreated to the Misty Dynasty's former night mansion, which was now called Star Moon Lake. Those guarding Star Moon City were the core personnel. If there was a battle, they could retreat immediately. The defensive issue had been arranged. Knight Sorrow was thinking about how to not be trapped by the opponent. Knight Sorrow wasn't afraid. Donghao Mountain had 2 imperial emperors, but if he wanted to run, he had a huge advantage. He could enter chaotic space to run. This was the space-time domain's forte. In chaotic space, the space-time domain's power would be maximized. Other attributes wouldn't be able to do so. One night passed in the real world. Knight Sorrow gathered everyone. The difficulty of today's battle will be increased because the opponent might have defenses. Remember, don't fight too long. Today the 3 teams can't leave my area of 5,000 kilometers. Once the area within 5,000 kilometers of the City Lord's mansion is cleared, we'll go to the next city, Knight Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow, let me add something. Some cities have god-fiend castles and strongholds. You must avoid them, Datira said. Said Knight Sorrow. The second part of the update. Chapter 1687. Damn. I forgot to remind you about this. Brothers, don't touch the God-Devil Castle. You must avoid it. We can't afford to offend it. Don't die without even knowing how you died. Knight Sorrow slapped his forehead. Everyone nodded. Actually, everyone knew about the God-Devil Castle after being in the celestial realm for a while. After giving out instructions, Knight Sorrow left the Clear Sky Pagoda and entered the city. After entering the city, Knight Sorrow activated the 9-region Origin Pearl and used his soul power to scan the area. Yishang was very confident. His soul power's probing strength was definitely at the Imperial Emperor level. First of all, his Divine Sea was different from ordinary people. His Divine Sea was 1/3 larger than other cultivators. After advancing to the Great Emperor realm, Yishang had refined the flame of life and cultivated his soul power to saturation. He was definitely one of the best in the Great Emperor realm. With the help of the 9-domain origin bead, his probing strength was at the Imperial Emperor level. When he arrived near the City Lord's residence, he scanned the area with his soul power. He didn't find any Emperor realm cultivators. Knight Sorrow's clone appeared and went to the teleportation array. His main body moved the people in the Clear Sky Pagoda out and started killing. Everything went smoothly. After looting the target city, Knight Sorrow led his people to the next city. After entering the city, Night Sorrow found an Emperor Realm cultivator. It was someone he knew. It was the great elder of the East Hao Mountain, Xian's father. Their clan was special. They didn't have a surname. Their names were all one word. He wore a black robe, and his eyes were completely white. After patrolling the area, he had been squatting in the pit. Recently, he had been very angry. His son had been killed, and East Hao Mountain had been slapped in the face. He needed to vent his anger on a killing spree. He was very confident. He was a peak 1-star Emperor Realm cultivator. According to the information he found, Night Sorrow had just entered the Emperor Realm half a year ago. He was thinking about whether he could meet Night Sorrow, not whether he could kill him. Night Sorrow also planned to make his move. If there was a big fish that he could kill, then he would naturally kill it. Only by killing the big fish would he be able to deal a heavy blow to Mount Donghao. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow decided not to let his men out. Only by dealing with this would the danger alert be lifted. He could not risk the lives of the people around him. Starter GR. Due to the difference in the strength of their soul powers, Yishang's soul powers had yet to discover any traces of Yishang. The main body and avatar separated. Night Sorrow's avatar went to the City Lord's mansion to destroy the teleportation array to prevent reinforcements. His original body wielded the reincarnation spear and executed the Void Extreme Point kill. He broke open the space barrier and controlled the clear sky pagoda to enter the turbulent flow of the void. Then he reappeared and executed the space-time domain to protect himself. Then he approached the teleportation array. Because he was near the teleportation array, he waited for news near the teleportation array. Once there was news, he could quickly teleport. Night Sorrow moved stealthily in the turbulent flow of the void and approached the teleportation array. The avatar in front of the teleportation array was a little flustered and upset. He did not understand what was going on, but he knew that it was not without reason. As an Emperor Realm cultivator, this situation was a warning sign. Just as he was frowning and thinking, Night Sorrow appeared. The Void Extreme Point kill broke open the space barrier and entered the real world through the clear sky pagoda. Night Sorrow's space-time domain erupted and suppressed Yi. Then the reincarnation spear executed the destructive True Dragon art. As the space-time attribute entered the Emperor Realm and the destructive will entered the Monarch Realm, Night Sorrow's strongest technique was no longer the Great Emperor reincarnation slash, but the destructive True Dragon art. A black halo enveloped Yi. The reincarnation spear carried a soul-shaking aura and attacked Yi. While the reincarnation spear in his right hand attacked, Night Sorrow's left hand blasted a punch at the teleportation array. The teleportation array collapsed and cut off Yi's escape route. Yi was shocked by the sudden attack. He did not understand why his opponent suddenly appeared. However, he reacted quickly. The green domain on his body erupted and resisted Night Sorrow's domain. However, he was still enveloped by the halo of the destructive True Dragon art. Yi only managed to place his battle saber in front of his forehead. At the same time, his head flashed with light to resist the influence of the destructive True Dragon art. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear pressed down by one foot and attacked Yi's chest. As Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear pierced through, a red armor appeared on Yi's body. The old emperor had a deep foundation. He had a protective armor of a higher level. Following a muffled sound, Yi was sent flying by Night Sorrow's spear and vomited blood. The chest area of his armor was shattered. This was Night Sorrow's normal attack after executing the destructive True Dragon art. However, it still injured Yi. "It's you. You're the one who killed my son. You'll die." Yi retreated quickly and crushed a communication crystal at the same time. After this collision, Yi understood Night Sorrow's strength. At the same time, he also recognized Night Sorrow's aura. "I don't know if I'll die or not, but you'll definitely die first." Night Sorrow waved his left hand and released everyone from the clear sky pagoda. The original plan was to attack and then quickly gather in front of the City Lord residence. After injuring Yi, Night Sorrow knew that he could completely suppress Yi, and that his subordinates would not be in danger. Therefore, he released the God-slaying team. Although they wanted to watch Night Sorrow's great battle, the members of the God-slaying team had a habit of carrying out orders first. After releasing the members of the God-slaying team, Night Sorrow used the void steps and arrived in front of Yi. Then he executed the destructive True Dragon art. A black halo appeared and shrouded Ye's body. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear vibrated again. The energy transformed into the void extreme kill and slashed towards Ye's head. In Donghao City, Yi was extremely anxious. He notified Donghao Yunjie and Donghao Ju. The two of them dared to come, but they didn't dare to move. Yi Shiwen's original body was being suppressed and attacked. If his clone went, it would be more dangerous. If his original body died, his clone would still be alive. If his clone went and still couldn't defeat his opponent, he would be completely annihilated and disappear from the world. Night Sorrow's Void Extreme Kill was extremely fast under the support of the space-time domain. It pierced through the void and arrived in front of Ye's head. However, Ye's soul power was still quite strong. He blocked a part of the destructive True Dragon art's influence, and blocked the battle saber in front of his head. You can't block it. Since we met today, you deserve to die. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear pressed down again, and attacked Yi Shiwen's chest, which had already been damaged. In the past life and death battles, Night Sorrow would attack his opponent's spirit sea. He would break through whatever obstacles there were. However, he didn't need to do that now because his original body had appeared. The reincarnation spear had the power of reincarnation that could injure the soul. It would be enough as long as he could kill his opponent's body. Yi Shiwen sensed that Night Sorrow's weapon had changed direction. He stretched out his left hand to block his chest and pushed forward. Even if he was injured, he had to block Night Sorrow's killing move. While he was defending, his white eyes emitted light and shot towards Night Sorrow. Soul attack. This was Yi Shiwen's talent. It was also the uniqueness of his white eyes. At this moment, Night Sorrow's head emitted a golden light. The light was vast and majestic, and it was filled with a righteous aura. Night Sorrow had activated his light of virtue to defend his spirit sea. Chapter 1688. Dumbstruck. After Zay's chest was pierced by Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear, he stopped moving. The meridians near his chest were all broken, and his spirit sea was attacked by a stream of energy that entered his body. Night Sorrow swung his left fist and hit Zay's head. Shock force. Night Sorrow's fist that was filled with shock force didn't shatter Zay's head, but the shock force entered his spirit sea and shattered it. Die. In just a few rounds, Night Sorrow killed the Donghao Mountain's Great Elder. Latest M chapter equals Part 1 $. Subsequently, Night Sorrow controlled the space-time domain and shook it violently. The space-time power intertwined and destroyed Zay's scattered soul force. This way, Zay's clone wouldn't have the chance to collect the remaining soul force in the soul box. After taking a look at Zay's corpse, Night Sorrow kept it in a storage ring. After keeping the main body of the teleportation crystal that fell from the teleportation array, Night Sorrow flew towards the City Lord's mansion. When Night Sorrow arrived, the massacre was still in progress. His clone had also merged with his original body. After his clone killed the Heaven Monarch, he didn't make any more moves. A moment later, the two groups of people returned, and the massacre was over. Night Sorrow used the Clear Sky Pagoda to keep everyone and activated the teleportation array disc. After arriving at the teleportation array outside the city, he teleported to the next destination. When Donghao Yunjie and Donghao Ju saw Zay, their faces turned ashen. This great one's original body has fallen. It was killed by him. Let's quickly go and eliminate him. Donghao Ju's eyes were filled with ominous light. It wasn't easy to see Night Sorrow's shadow. Zay didn't say anything. He knew that he didn't have any chance. The teleportation array was destroyed, and it would be difficult to arrive before Night Sorrow left. Night Sorrow had calculated all of this, but he didn't say anything because he wanted to take revenge. Right before the last teleportation, the teleportation formation was broken. Donghao Yunjie, Donghao Ju, and Donghao Yunjie teleported to the nearest city before flying away. This made them realize that there was no chance of catching Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow had no intention of stopping. This was his first battle in the celestial realm from the primal chaos realm. He wanted to make a name for himself by tormenting Donghao Mountain, so that no one would dare to have designs on Star Moon Lake. When he received news that more cities had been destroyed, Donghao Yunjie was furious. They were flying and could not chase after him even if they wanted to. They could only endure Night Sorrow's attacks. A day passed. Night Sorrow brought his men and went into hiding again. The result was that they broke through 10 cities and killed an emperor. Donghao Mountain was on the defensive. Great Elder's true body was killed, and his clone was seriously injured, already unable to fight. In view of Night Sorrow's battle prowess, the second elder of Donghao Mountain did not dare to separate from his clone. This made the area where they could hide even smaller. It was useless for Donghao Yunjie to find a fortune teller, because the fortune teller could only see the battle scene. Night Sorrow's teleportation formation could not be found anywhere. After Night Sorrow's battle, he used a teleportation formation disc to leave. The teleportation formation he stopped at was surrounded by an illusion formation. It was impossible to use the environment to determine his location. The interrealm teleportation formation also had a long teleportation distance. They were on the defensive. 2 days passed. 20 cities were destroyed, and the Emperor Realm Great Elder's true body was destroyed. Donghao Mountain had no way to deal with this. This shocked the Celestial Realm because Starmoon Lake was too powerful. No one could have imagined that they would be able to fight to this extent. Song Ning's true body was reporting the situation to the Ethereal Battle Emperor in the City Lord's mansion. The other elders and mansion lords were also present. Lord Battle Emperor, although Starmoon Lake used our protection to fight, such a result is also a display of our Ethereal Dynasty's prestige. The people of Donghao region hope that we will withdraw our protection for Starmoon Lake. This should not be considered, Luo Yuandao said. Because there was no target to attack, Donghao Yunjie's clone took charge of the situation while his true body went to the Ethereal Dynasty. He hoped that the Ethereal Dynasty would withdraw their protection for Starmoon Lake and give Donghao Mountain a fair chance. Lin Piaomiao did not say anything. She looked at Elder Lan. Since when can Donghao Mountain influence the Ethereal Dynasty's decision? Was there a need for them to tell them who to protect and who not to protect? They besieged Starmoon Lake. Why don't they think that Starmoon Lake is under our protection? Elder Lan stood up and said when he saw Lin Piaomiao's eyes. Elder Lan, you and Elder Luo will handle this matter. Make your attitude clear, and tell them not to have any ideas about Starmoon Lake. Otherwise, the consequences will be even more severe than now. Besides, no one can deny Starmoon Lake's battle achievements. Without our protection, they can give up Starmoon Lake and continue fighting. Who will suffer more losses? Lin Piaomiao stood up. Her figure flickered and dissipated. What came here was an energy clone. Mansion Lord Wufeng, your brother is powerful. Han Jinyue looked at Wufeng and said, my brother doesn't cause trouble. But if anyone provokes him, the consequences will be severe. Wufeng smiled. He can't stand being looked down upon and bullied. He will deal with whoever bullies him. He doesn't care who the opponent is. So what if Yuan Ji? So what if Donghao Mountain's Grand Elder is? They are all living examples. Song Ning said. Starmoon Lake is now related to our reputation. Someone must watch it in secret. Who will go? If no one, I will go. Elder Lan said. I will go with my clone. I, Luo Yuandao, don't have many friends. This matter has to be handled from an official point of view. From a personal point of view, I also have to take care of it. Luo Yuandao expressed his attitude. Elder Luo, this is rare. But there is no need. My clone is already outside Starmoon City. Song Ning nodded at Luo Yuandao. At this moment, she approved of Luo Yuandao. Then there is no danger. Let's talk. How far will this brat go? Lin Qixing looked like he was watching a show. Of course. He is good at scraping the ground. Gong Yufan and Mansion Lord Yang have already experienced it. Yuan Ji was even worse. Han Jinyue glanced at Yang Tianlai. Sir Battle Emperor is not going to pursue this matter. Can you not slap his face? Yang Tianlai was embarrassed. I don't think so. Wufeng said. Mansion Lord Wufeng, tell us your opinion. Luo Yuandao nodded. If Yi Shang has a conflict with anyone in the Ethereal Imperial City, he will consider the Ethereal Imperial Dynasty's reputation, and still have some sentiments. However, East Hao Mountain doesn't have this problem. So the end result will be very tragic. If Night Sorrow is not captured and killed, then East Hao Mountain will be completely destroyed. Perhaps, only 2 imperial emperors will be left that Night Sorrow can't kill. Wu Feng expressed his opinion. Yes. This guy can't tolerate sand in his eyes. After this conflict, Donghao Mountain's strength will drop infinitely. At the very least, it will be reduced. Elder Lan nodded. He agreed with Wu Feng's words because he also understood Yi Sorrow. 20 cities under 2 skies. An imperial emperor's main body has fallen. This is a domineering battle record. He is acting like an imperial emperor. But I have to admit, he is really domineering. Lin Qixing said. He is my friend, an overlord recognized by Sir Battle Emperor. How can he not be domineering? Song Ning felt very proud. Chapter 1689. You can ask the owner of the Twilight Tea House. I'm just a tea drinker. Yes, a VIP tea drinker. Song Ning took out a VIP card and waved it around. The owner of the Twilight Tea House said that they don't give out VIP cards. If they did, would I still need to ask you? It's too embarrassing to bring my old mother to drink tea without a seat. Lin Qixing said with some hesitation. Is that so? For the sake of Auntie, I'll point you in the right direction. Who's the boss of the Star Moon Lake? Isn't it just Night Sorrow? Can't you solve it by asking him? You're usually very smart, but you're always muddle-headed. Song Ning reprimanded Lin Qixing. Lin Qixing was famous for being a filial son in the ethereal dynasty. Because of this, he had a good reputation even though he was a stingy cheapskate. Many thanks. Lin Qixing cupped his fist towards Song Ning. After receiving the ethereal empire's reply and warning, Donghao Yunjie returned to the Donghao Mountain. Actually, he had expected this answer, but he didn't expect to receive a warning that he couldn't touch the Star Moon Lake. After returning to the Donghao Mountain, Donghao Yunjie asked Donghao Ju to withdraw the troops besieging the Star Moon Lake, because this was the trigger. Donghao Yunjie felt that Night Sorrow would stop attacking if the troops besieging the Star Moon Lake were to withdraw. Withdrawing the troops besieging the Star Moon Lake meant that they had compromised and lost. Donghao Ju felt humiliated, but he had no way to stop Night Sorrow's attack at the moment. Donghao Mountain's troops besieging the Star Moon Lake were to withdraw, which caused an uproar. A new small faction with only 1 city was able to force the Donghao Mountain, which had 2 monarchs, to compromise. This was definitely unprecedented. The Donghao Mountain's Grand Elder's original body was killed by the Star Moon Lord Night Sorrow, which established Night Sorrow's position as the monarch of strength. Just when everyone thought that the Star Moon warriors would retreat, Night Sorrow led his men to start another massacre. In a single day, they took down another 10 cities. When the news spread, everyone was shocked. Some people thought that Star Moon Lake was pushing their luck, and that they would suffer if they were captured by Mount Donghao's main force. Some people thought that this was just courage, and that Mount Donghao couldn't just fight whenever they wanted. In short, there were mixed opinions. The situation continued. On the 4th day, the 5th day. On the 5th day, Mount Donghao lost 50 cities in a row. Even after collecting resources later on, Mount Donghao had lost more than 30 million Saint Spirit Stones. If Mount Donghao wanted to recover to its pre-war state, it would take a considerable amount of time. It could be said that its vitality had been greatly damaged. Donghao Mountain had no choice but to send people to Night Moon Villa to negotiate, but they didn't even see Night Sorrow. However, Mandela's true body appeared and directly stated Yi Shang's intentions. This time he wanted Mount Donghao to collapse. Star Moon Lake could fight for 30 years, 50 years, 200 years, or 500 years. They couldn't destroy Mount Donghao for now, but Night Sorrow was confident that he could cultivate to the monarch realm. In short, if Star Moon Lake didn't die, Mount Donghao would fall. Donghao Yunjie was furious. He didn't expect that his son's revenge would provoke such a crazy retaliation. Mount Donghao had compromised, but the other party wasn't done yet. On the 7th day of the war, Mount Donghao's second elder and Night Sorrow met. The second elder's original body and clone were both killed by Night Sorrow. This was a turning point in the war. Not only did Mount Donghao suffer great losses, but it also proved that Night Sorrow wasn't afraid of anyone below the monarch realm. Donghao Yunjie and Donghao Ju could only guard Mount Donghao and Mount Donghao City, not daring to go out. They were afraid that their base would be attacked, so they couldn't control the current situation. Donghao Yunjie brought Donghao Ju to Night Moon Villa to negotiate. Mount Donghao couldn't hold on any longer. At this time, Night Sorrow's original body also returned to Night Moon Villa. It was his clone that led people to fight in Mount Donghao. Both sides met at Night Moon Villa. A few important members of Ethereal Imperial City were also present. Night Moon Villa was a residence bestowed by the Battle Emperor, so no one could act recklessly. After meeting, Donghao Ju stared at Night Sorrow. I've already retreated from the people surrounding Star Moon Lake. What else do you want? What else do I want? You're very self-righteous. Are you going to fight whenever you want to and not when you don't want to? That won't do. Night Sorrow's voice was very calm. You're the ones who came to negotiate. Why are you acting all high and mighty? If you can talk, then talk. If you can't talk, then don't open your mouth. Datura's temper was quite bad. Ju, don't be impatient. We're here to negotiate. Since Lord Ye's true body has appeared, it can be seen that he's not too willing to fight, Donghao Yunjie said. Mount Donghao Mountain Lord, you are mistaken. Your Mount Donghao's monarch is gone, and I can't deny the fact that I can't kill an imperial emperor. Therefore, there is no need for me to use my true body and avatars to fight at full strength. In any case, if I encounter you, I will retreat and find another place to kill you. Isn't this a good arrangement? Night Sorrow said as he poured himself a cup of tea. Update square root max v fast 6 on 6 vv haha. Lord Yi, it's a good arrangement and a good plan. If Donghao Mountain loses, you can name your compensation. Donghao Jie waved his hand and interrupted Donghao Jue, who was about to speak. I don't want the war to end, but if you want to negotiate, I'll give you a chance. I want half of Donghao Mountain's territory, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow's words not only stunned Donghao Yunjie and Donghao Jue, but also Luo Yuandao, Elder Lan, Wufeng and Songning, who were drinking tea at the side. Night Sorrow's words were too ruthless. You think I'm going overboard? Actually, I also think I'm going overboard. However, you guys have made me owe you a favor. This favor will be paid by you guys. Night Sorrow's eyes shone with a sharp light. In your dreams. Donghao Jue's eyes were bloodshot. The size of a territory was a display of strength, and also the foundation of a force. Night Sorrow directly wanted half of it. Donghao Mountain couldn't accept it. Just treat it as if I'm dreaming. I didn't plan to negotiate in the first place. I just want to fight. My main body will come back, and my clone will fight. This is the preparation for a long war. Night Sorrow smiled and didn't care about Donghao Jue's anger. Lord Yi, are you trying to make both sides suffer? Do you want to fight to the death? Donghao Yunjie didn't get angry. He was here to solve the problem. He knew that angering Night Sorrow was useless. I don't think so. Even if my doppelganger is destroyed, I can just refine another doppelganger. Don't think about killing my clone. That will seriously injure my origin. I have the confidence. Even if my clone dies, it's just a clone. I'm still me. As for you guys attacking my Star Moon Lake, first of all, I have the protection of Lord Battle Emperor. Moreover, almost everyone in the Star Moon Lake has retreated. Only a portion of them are guarding the lake with a defensive formation. You guys can attack if you want. I can even give it to you now. Tell me, what do I have to be afraid of? Night Sorrow sneered. After taking a deep breath to suppress his anger, Donghao Yunjie asked, You don't have anyone in the Star Moon Lake. Even if we give you a territory, you won't be able to rule it. Also, what do you mean by you owe me a favor? Chapter 1690. Donghao Yunjie and Donghao Ju left. Night Sorrow wanted half of Donghao Mountain's territory, but they couldn't agree. That would destroy Donghao Mountain's foundation and completely humiliate them, so they had to carry on even if they had to. Donghao Yunjie and Donghao Ju left Night Moon Mountain Villa and directly teleported back to Donghao City. They were in a hurry to go back and make arrangements. If negotiations failed, they would continue to fight. Night Sorrow, what are you doing? You want half of their territory? That's not a sincere negotiation. Songning said to Night Sorrow. Lin Xian, also came and looked at Night Sorrow, waiting for Night Sorrow's answer. I didn't want to negotiate in the first place. Our Star Moon Lake is a new power, but we can't be bullied by just anyone. This time, I'll let everyone know that they shouldn't provoke us for no reason, Night Sorrow said. Are you trying to establish a label for Star Moon Lake? Lin Xian asked with a smile. It's better to avoid 100 punches. Knowing that we're not easy to bully, no one dares to provoke us. Otherwise, if you come looking for trouble today, they'll come looking for trouble tomorrow. There'll be a lot of annoying things, so Donghao Mountain can only accept their bad luck. Yishang nodded. Good thinking and decision. Good strategy, but be careful. Lin Xian nodded to Yishang, then left without talking to anyone else. Elder Lan, Song Ning, and the others knew what Night Sorrow meant, but they didn't say anything. Night Sorrow's decision was right, but they didn't understand why Night Sorrow wanted the territory as a gift, but they didn't ask. After sending off Elder Lan and the others, Night Sorrow's main body went to Donghao City to meet up with his clone. He left the 9-region origin pearl and 8-dragon cauldron to his clone, while Night Sorrow's main body brought the important resources and treasures back to Night Moon Mountain Villa in the Clear Sky Pagoda. There was no need for a large group of people. His clone would be enough. However, Datura's doppelganger followed Night Sorrow. She wanted to fight alongside Night Sorrow. After returning to Mount Donghao, Donghao Yunjie was furious. Donghao Ju was also furious. He didn't expect to provoke such a madman. He couldn't even admit defeat and wanted to kill him. What could he do? If he couldn't give them half of the territory, then he had to defend it. Soon after, Donghao Yunjie made a decision. He and Donghao Ju would guard Donghao Mountain and Donghao City respectively, while the two clones would go out to capture Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow was not so easy to capture. Night Sorrow had his own teleportation array net. He could kill and retreat as he pleased. Night Sorrow's original body went to the place that Lin Xianer had pointed out to cultivate the domain of nothingness. Right now, he was more anxious to enter the Emperor stage with the nothingness attribute. With so many attributes, Night Sorrow had his own considerations. The nothingness attribute and the space-time attribute complemented each other. If he entered the Emperor stage, it would not be as simple as 1 + 1. Furthermore, the nothingness attribute was domineering in terms of attacks. With the support of energy, it could annihilate everything. The battle between Star Moon Lake and Mount Donghao was still ongoing. In reality, everyone knew that this was the battle between Night Sorrow and Mount Donghao. Star Moon Lake could not give Night Sorrow much support. Mount Donghao's cities were constantly attacked. Even though they had taken all the resources, there were still some left and they still needed to develop. As such, Night Sorrow's gains were small, but it was not like there were no gains. In addition, Night Sorrow had killed the city lords and elders of the cities. Their personal gains were not small either. Unable to capture Night Sorrow, they could only passively allow Night Sorrow to continuously destroy their cities. This made Mount Donghao suffer greatly. If there were many large cities, they would not be able to defend them. Night Sorrow's efficiency in attacking the cities had decreased. He only attacked 3 to 5 cities a day. However, this was still fatal. Half a month after the battle began, Night Sorrow and Dong Haojue bumped into each other. Night Sorrow waved his hand at him. The Space Splitter Spear broke through the spatial barrier and left. Dong Haojue could not do anything about it. He rushed to the place where Night Sorrow had disappeared, and could only watch as the spatial crack closed and curse. Dong Haojue explained the situation to Dong Haoyunjie. His domain is very strong. Both space and time domains are very domineering and are good at speed. The space-time domain that combines the two is even better at speed. He has strong survivability in the spatial turbulence and is not easy to kill, Dong Haoyunjie said. If they could not capture Night Sorrow, they could only passively endure the destruction. Sometimes, Night Sorrow would come back and attack the cities that had been attacked before. On the 20th day of the battle, Night Sorrow bumped into Dong Haoyunjie. Night Sorrow did not even fight and left directly. Since he could not kill him, there was no point in probing him. He activated the teleportation array and left, only leaving Dong Haoyunjie's back view that could be seen with his soul power. This situation made Dong Haoyunjie realize that Night Sorrow had set up a secret plan. With the teleportation array net as a means of attack and retreat, there was no way to trap him. Night Sorrow's soul power was very strong. When Dong Haojue and Dong Haoyinjie discovered him, he could also discover them at the same time. Once he activated the teleportation array and left, Dong Haoyinjie and Dong Haojue would not have the chance to trap him. Dong Haoyinjie concluded that there was no way to stop him. The furious Dong Haoyinjie communicated with Dong Haojue for a while. "Ju, your father is planning to go to the Divine Devil Castle in Dong Haoyin City and give him a mission," Dong Haoyinjie said. Dong Haoyinjie said. He did not say it clearly and was asking Dong Haojue about the possibility of giving him a mission. Dong Haoyinjie had guessed that his son was from the Divine Devil Castle, although he did not confirm it directly. Dong Haojue thought for a while and nodded. He was not very clear about the situation. Normally, the Divine Devil Castle would not accept missions from their own people. However, last time, his brother had accepted a mission related to Night Sorrow. Elder Chiu did not reject this mission. Rejecting it meant admitting that Night Sorrow was from the Divine Devil Castle. As for how to arrange it, Elder Chiu had to communicate with Nalan and Lung Lai. It was fine if she did not know. But the problem was that she knew that Night Sorrow was from the Divine Devil Castle. Elder Chiu knew that Night Sorrow was from the Divine Devil Castle. It was not only because Night Sorrow had killed Xian, but also because after Night Sorrow became a Divine Devil Guardian, the Divine Devil Castle's headquarters had sent a document to the heads of the various branches. A Divine Devil Guardian was already a core member of the Divine Devil Castle, so the internal management had to know. In the Ethereal Dynasty's Divine Devil Castle, Lung Lai was a little angry after hearing Elder Chiu's explanation. Are the Donghao clan's people stupid? Dong Haojue is an elder. Don't tell me he doesn't understand the situation and still gave this mission? I don't know about this either. It's possible that they are testing our attitude. Besides, the Donghao district has been tormented by this guy. Dong Haoyinjie is also desperate, said Elder Chiu. Then we'll follow the normal procedure. Accept the mission and admit failure in a few days. Let them torment themselves, said Elder Nalan. You guys have it easy and then torment our Donghao district's branches. It's simply. Elder Chiu was speechless. That's the situation. What can we do? By the way, Elder Chiu is in charge of the Donghao district. You have more information than us. What's the situation now? Asked Elder Nalan. He was more worried about Night Sorrow's safety. Chapter 1691. Elder Chiu, do you mean that East Hao Mountain has lost? Lung Lai's words contained some surprise. Forever, Freya, look, we've lost completely. It can be said that this is a classic battle where the barefooted are not afraid to wear shoes. Elder Chiu nodded. East Haoshan has lost. Here comes the question. Are they going to accept Night Sorrow's conditions, or are they going to resist at all costs? Elder Nalan said with a smile. The results will be out very soon. Once the God Castle's quest results are out, it will be time for them to make their choice. I have to say Night Sorrow is too ruthless. How many cities has he cleared by now? How many resources had they looted from over 100 cities? I feel like this kid is filthy rich now, Elder Chiu said. After communicating with Elder Nalan and Lung Lai, Elder Chiu left Ethereal Imperial City. The core members of the Donghao mountain range were furious with Night Sorrow's wanton slaughter and plunder. They didn't even dare to leave their houses because they were worried that Night Sorrow would come out at any moment. If he did, it would be normal for him to take their lives. Dong Haoyinjie's clone did not go out to wait for Night Sorrow. He also told Dong Haoju not to do anything useless, because there was no hope. Elder Chiu did not torture Donghao Mountain. After 6 days, he sent someone to inform Dong Haoyinjie that the mission had failed, and that there would be no commission. He would also no longer accept missions related to Night Sorrow. This news was a blow to Dong Haoyinjie, because there was no way to stop Night Sorrow. After thinking about it, Dong Haoyinjie called for a meeting with the higher-ups of Mount Donghao to discuss how to deal with this matter. Mount Donghao had to make a choice. They could either admit defeat and accept Night Sorrow's conditions, or they could give up on some cities, and only defend a few that could be defended. The others could only fend for themselves. During the meeting, one person was missing. The second elder, who had been present during the last meeting, was no longer present. His original body and clone had been completely destroyed. Donghao Mountain's main hall was filled with a deathly aura. The war this time had caused Donghao Mountain's vitality to be greatly damaged. Their face and strength had been completely crushed by night sorrow. Donghao Yunjie sighed and continued to talk about the current situation. He even mentioned the matter of asking the God Castle to take action. Now, it's a choice between losing face and fighting head-on. If we fight head-on, the Mountain Lord and young Mountain Lord's true bodies and avatars will only be able to defend 4 cities. Our East Hao Mountain will be destroyed, and slowly, no one will remember East Hao Mountain. He wasn't willing to lower his head, but Mount Donghao was their roots, and their clan had a chance to develop there. If we stop the war, we will have to give up half of our territory. This will be a huge blow to our East Hao Mountain's reputation. A Heaven Monarch Realm Elder said. Do we still have any face left? If we don't compromise and just defend the 4 cities, our Donghao Mountain will lose face. Moreover, there's little room for development, and if we don't have any talents, our Donghao Mountain will be gone in a few years. Another elder expressed his opinion. Let's compromise. If we don't fight, we can still have half of our territory. If we fight, Donghao Mountain will really be gone. Donghao Yunjie made a decision. The others nodded as well. Only Donghao Ju was somewhat unwilling. Donghao Mountain used to have a single arch, but now it had 2 thearchs. However, they were still beaten by an emperor and dozens of people to the point that they couldn't even fight back. This was a humiliation, but he had to accept this humiliation. After making the decision, Donghao Yunjie went to the Ethereal Dynasty and Starmoon Mountain Villa to seek an audience with Night Sorrow. Yi Shang's original body has gone to cultivate. His clone is in your Ethereal Dynasty. If there's anything, I can help pass on the message, Mandela said to Donghao Yunjie, who had requested to see her. We will give you half of our territory, and this war will end, Donghao Yunjie said. Donghao Yunjie said. He seemed to have exhausted all the strength in his body after saying that. In the past, Donghao Yunjie had never suffered such humiliation, but he had no choice today. All right, I'll send a message for him to come back and find a witness, Datura said. Datura's avatar, who was with Night Sorrow, informed Night Sorrow of Donghao Mountain's attitude. After hearing this, Night Sorrow thought for a moment, stopped attacking, and returned to the Ethereal Dynasty. When Night Sorrow returned to the Night Moon Mountain Villa, there were many people in the Night Moon Mountain Villa. A few of the higher-ups of the Ethereal Dynasty were there. Elder Lan and Luo Yuandao had been invited by Tsangning, who knew the news. Wu Feng was also there. After everyone sat down, another person arrived. When this person arrived, everyone stood up and cupped their hands in greeting. This person was wearing golden battle clothes with a geographical map of mountains and rivers on it. The Battle Emperor. It was Lin Piaomiao, the Battle Emperor of Ethereal Dynasty. This time, it was her true body. She wore a veil, and her hair was golden. A teardrop-shaped jade was hanging in front of her hair. Night Sorrow is the lord of the Ethereal Dynasty, so I will be the witness and judge. Lin Piaomiao sat in the main seat. Since Lord Battle Emperor is here, we can talk business. Donghao Mountain recognizes half of the territory, right? Night Sorrow asked Donghao Yunjie. Yes, Donghao Mountain wants to end this war. Donghao Yunjie nodded. Jidao the territory map. Night Sorrow shouted to Jidao. After Jidao came over, he raised his arm and a territory map was placed on the table. We're both men. There's no point in beating around the bush. You can pick out half of the areas that you think I can accept. From now on, we'll go our separate ways, Night Sorrow said to Donghao Yunjie. Looking at the territory map, Donghao Yunjie's heart was filled with bitterness. Because with the stroke of his pen, half of Donghao Mountain's foundation would be destroyed. Night Sorrow didn't chase after him. He took a cup of tea from Datura and drank it. Taking a deep breath, Donghao Yunjie took the pen and drew half of Donghao Mountain's territory. The area near the border of Ethereal Dynasty and Ethereal Dynasty is yours. Good. Night Sorrow looked at the map and nodded. He didn't have the face to stay any longer. Bowing to Lin Piaomiao, Donghao Yunjie left with Donghao Ju. Although he paid a huge price, the crisis of Donghao Mountain had been resolved. Now that the conflict was resolved, Knight Sorrow didn't hold back. He stood up and sent Donghao Yunjie and Donghao Ju out of Night Moon Villa. Thank you, Lord Battle Emperor, for being the witness. Knight Sorrow returned to the villa and cupped his hands to Lin Piaomiao, who was wearing a veil. You are the Lord of Ethereal Dynasty. Naturally, I have to step in. We can't let others think that Ethereal Dynasty has no capable people, Lin Piaomiao said. Knight Sorrow thanks the Battle Emperor for protecting Star Moon Lake. Knight Sorrow pushed the territory map in front of Lin Piaomiao. What are you doing? Lin Piaomiao's eyes, which were exposed by the veil, were a little surprised. Not only was Lin Piaomiao surprised, but Song Ning, Elder Lan, and Luo Yuandao also didn't understand what was going on. I have no use for Donghao Mountain's territory. I'm just giving it to you, Lord Battle Emperor. Thank you for taking care of Star Moon Lake and me, Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow pointed at the map. And NB says third update. Chapter 1692. You're giving it to me? Do you know what this is? Billions of miles of territory with hundreds of large cities. The astonishment in his eyes became even more intense. I know what this is. When I asked for it for Lord Battle Emperor. Star Moon Lake can't receive Lord Battle Emperor's favor and protection for nothing, Knight Sorrow said. At this moment, Song Ning remembered that Knight Sorrow had said that he came to the territory to give it to someone. I'm not asking for anything in return when I help you. Lin Piaomiao looked at Yi Shang and said. She had been a powerful cultivator for many years. She had seen many courageous people. However, she had never seen someone like Yi Shang, who was willing to give away millions and millions of miles of territory without batting an eyelid. Sir Battle Emperor, you don't need anything in return. Knowing how to repay kindness is one of the most important things in life. Sir Battle Emperor, please accept this. Otherwise it'll be a hot potato for me, said Yi Shan with a smile. Other people would be nervous when facing the Battle Emperor, the peerless Empress, but Knight Sorrow wasn't. He was very calm. Alright, I know what you're thinking. Elder Luo and Elder Lan, take over this territory. Every year, 20% of the taxes and resources in this territory will be sent to you. Lin Piaomiao stood up, put away the territory map, and threw it to Luo Yuandao. I'll arrange for people to take it over immediately. Luo Yuandao stood up and nodded. Lin Piaomiao nodded at Knight Sorrow again and left. She was here to send a message that she supported Knight Sorrow. After Lin Piaomiao left, Knight Sorrow took out the wine jar and poured wine for Luo Yuandao, Elder Lan and the others. Lord Knight Sorrow, what do you plan to do next? Elder Lan asked. Take care of World Edge Pavilion. Didn't they help Donghao Mountain seal off Star Moon Lake? How can they not bleed? Knight Sorrow said after taking a sip of wine. Haha. Once the news spreads, Huatianya will probably be pissed. Even the two monarchs of Mount Donghao couldn't withstand your attacks, let alone them, Song Ning said with a smile. Let's see how they react first. In addition, our Star Moon Lake has also been impacted this time. We'll need to return to normal operations later. Knight Sorrow nodded. He did not plan to attack the World Edge Pavilion directly. He felt that the World Edge Pavilion would give him an explanation. After drinking some wine, Song Ning and the others left, but Lin Xianer went to Knight Sorrow's place. From today onwards, your path will be different, Lin Xianer said as she sat down. I don't understand what Sister Xian means. Knight Sorrow shook his head. Because you defeated an Imperial Emperor's force, you are qualified to be assessed as one of the lords of the human race. Your identity and status are different, and there will be records of you in Tianhuang City, Lin Xianer said. What do you mean? I don't quite understand. Knight Sorrow didn't quite understand. Then I'll tell you about it. The celestial realm is vast and boundless, right? However, the map of the celestial realm that we see is only a part of it. One part is dominated by the human race, while the other part is dominated by the other race. Tianhuang City is the boundary between the human race and the other race, Lin Xianer said. Knight Sorrow was a little confused. He had never heard of this at all. Actually, it's normal that you don't know, because there aren't many people in the human realm who know about this. Even ordinary Emperor Realm cultivators don't know about it. Only when there's a war and it's more dangerous will Tianhuang City send out a notice and mobilize people. Lin Xianer said. Then Lin Xianer told Knight Sorrow that ordinary forces did not have the right to enter Tianhuang City. Some Imperial Emperor's forces knew about it, while others did not. The God Devil Castle was a force of Tianhuang City. And NB Genuine first release Knight Sorrow was a little confused because this news was very shocking. It's a little complicated, right? You're still very young. Even Imperial Emperors wouldn't know about this if they weren't strong enough. Lin Xianer said with a smile. After Lin Xianer left, Knight Sorrow took the tea that Datura brewed and took a sip to think. Lin Xianer's news was quite shocking. Knight Sorrow, actually you don't have to think so much. It doesn't have much to do with us. Just develop our own things, Datura said. Yes, Knight Sorrow was also very calm. There were some things that he didn't understand, so he just had to do his own things. Then go and inform Star Moon Lake to operate normally. Datura looked at Knight Sorrow and said, No. If Star Moon Lake operates normally, it means that this matter is over and the World Edge Pavilion won't be under any pressure. Knight Sorrow shook his head. He still had his own thoughts. Datura looked at Knight Sorrow and smiled. She knew that Knight Sorrow wanted to go to the Black World Edge Pavilion. Looking at the smile on Datura's face, Knight Sorrow could not help but smile because Datura understood him. Everything at home will be as usual. You should relax a little. I'll rest for 2 days and go to the World Edge Pavilion. I'm sure they'll have received the news by then. Knight Sorrow stood up. Yi Shang accompanied his wife to drink tea and go shopping. After resting for 2 days, he left the Yeyue Villa and teleported to the World Edge Pavilion. After teleporting for a while, Knight Sorrow arrived at the World Edge City, which was the main city of the World Edge Pavilion. When Knight Sorrow appeared, the people guarding the teleportation formation were shocked and nervous, because they could see that Knight Sorrow was an Emperor Realm cultivator. What are you doing? Are you trying to stop me? Knight Sorrow smiled. With a wave of his sleeve, he shook the guards away. Knight Sorrow went to a tea house not far from the teleportation formation, and asked for a pot of tea. When Knight Sorrow was drinking tea, Huatianya, who was in the World Edge City Lord's residence, heard the news and knew who the Emperor Realm cultivator was. Donghao Yunjia, you've screwed the World Edge Pavilion over. Huatianya, who was sitting on the large chair of the City Lord's residence, roared angrily. Everyone in the area knew that Donghao Mountain had been destroyed by Knight Sorrow. Huatianya also found out that East Haoshan had compromised and given up half of their territory. After finding out, his heart began to pound. Just as he was thinking about how to deal with this matter, Knight Sorrow came knocking. Knight Sorrow came looking for trouble. It was time for the World Edge Pavilion to pay the price. Huatianya hadn't thought about what price to pay, but he knew that it couldn't be low. Taking away half of Donghao Mountain's territory showed Knight Sorrow's attitude. In addition, Knight Sorrow's reputation was also out there, and wasn't to be trifled with. After thinking for a while, Huatianya knew that he had to be a little more straightforward. When Knight Sorrow turned hostile and bared his teeth and started to bite, the situation would be even more difficult to resolve. Knight Sorrow was drinking tea in the tea house. He knew that Huatianya should know about his arrival. He was waiting to see how Huatianya would deal with this matter. Huatianya was an imperial emperor, but he was at the bottom of the imperial emperors. Knight Sorrow had confirmed this with Song Ning, so he wasn't afraid that Huatianya would use ruthless methods on him. Huatianya didn't dare to because whether it was Huatianya or the World Edge Pavilion, in terms of strength, they were inferior to Donghao Mountain. If Donghao Mountain submitted, would the World Edge Pavilion show their weapons to him? The answer was no. Knight Sorrow drank a pot of tea when Huatianya arrived. He said, "The 4th update has arrived. The update will be completed today." Chapter 1693. Huatianya arrived. Knight Sorrow turned his head to take a look, then cupped his hands. "Why didn't you inform me that Overlord Knight was here? I would have received you properly. Sorry for my rudeness." Huatianya cupped his hands at Knight Sorrow with a smile on his face. "So it's the World Edge Pavilion Master. Sit. I've been very annoyed recently, so I came out to walk around. I didn't dare to disturb the Pavilion Master." Night Sorrow cupped his hands. That's right. It's not easy for a new faction to develop. However, we're neighbors, so we should help each other. If Starmoon Lake needs anything now, just tell us. The World Edge Pavilion will fully support you. We won't refuse. Huatianya sat down. His words were very heroic, as if he was helping a close friend. The World Edge Pavilion Master is heroic. Starmoon Lake has just started to develop, so life is tough. The World Edge Pavilion Master can make some arrangements. We're neighbors. If you're stingy, our relationship will be very bad, Night Sorrow said. That's for sure. Huatianya nodded. The two of them casually talked about the matter. Huatianya asked for compensation, and Night Sorrow told him not to be stingy. If he was stingy, things would be difficult. Night Sorrow and Huatianya chatted and laughed. Those who did not know them would think that they were old friends catching up. However, no one knew that Huatianya's heart was bleeding. He knew that Night Sorrow was ruthless. Donghao Mountain had been destroyed by Night Sorrow, so Huatianya had to be careful when it came to compensation. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow said goodbye to him like an old friend. He shouted that he would wait for Huatianya's arrival at Starmoon Mountain Villa. After Night Sorrow left, Huatianya returned to the City Lord's mansion and gathered all the higher-ups of the World Edge Pavilion for a meeting to discuss the compensation. He's here to send a signal. He's a lunatic. Let's not wait for him to bite us before we react. It'll be too late. Donghao Mountain is now in a terrible state, the Great Elder of the World Edge Pavilion said. We are not as good as East Hao Mountain. If East Hao Mountain can't hold on, we won't be able to either, said another elder. The two who spoke were the two Emperor Realm Elders of the World Edge Pavilion. The rest of the higher-ups were Heaven Monarchs. I understand. The problem is the size of the compensation amount. If it's too big, we won't be able to afford it. If it's too small, they won't accept it. Huatianya revealed the matter that troubled him the most. After some discussion, they finally decided to hand over 10 cities near Starmoon Lake and Greenwater City, as well as 20 million Saint Spirit Stones. Pavilion Lord, give it a try. If it doesn't work, then add more. We can't afford to fight this war, the Elder Emperor said. Having made his decision, Huatianya brought the map and Saint Spirit Stones to the Night Moon Villa in the ethereal Imperial City. When Huatianya arrived, Night Sorrow warmly welcomed him as if he was an old friend. After sitting down, Huatianya took a sip of tea and took out a map of the territory. Starmoon Lake has just started to develop, so there are no territorial taxes. These are the 10 cities near Starmoon Lake. They were given to Starmoon Lake by the World Edge Pavilion and supported by 20 million Saint Spirit Stones. Huatianya took out the map and pointed at the cities circled on it. Then he took out a storage ring. Pavilion Lord Hua is generous. Then Night Sorrow will accept it. We are good neighbors. It's enough that you have a friendly attitude. Night Sorrow is a little embarrassed by such a big gift. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Huatianya's face was full of smiles. We are good neighbors. How can good neighbors be stingy? Although his face was full of smiles, Huatianya was cursing in his heart. It was enough to say that it was just a gesture, but if it was too little, Night Sorrow would bite him the moment he opened his mouth. After sending Huatianya off, Night Sorrow took the territory map and tapped it. He was quite satisfied. Huatianya's face was full of smiles, but he didn't know how depressed he was. Did you make a move on them? Lin Xian, sat down beside Datura. Sister Xianer, you must be joking. Am I the kind of person who casually makes a move? I just went to their tea house in World Edge City to have a cup of tea, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow, I really admire you. We are business partners. Recently you have been going solo and making a lot of money. There are people coming to your territory. Song Ning and Wu Feng, who had heard the news, also came. They were afraid that Night Sorrow would be at a disadvantage. I dare to rob, and I can rob. Can you? Misty Dynasty has rules. If you dare to act recklessly, it would be strange if Lord Battle Emperor didn't take care of you, Night Sorrow said after pouring tea for Wu Feng and Song Ning. Night Sorrow, are you going to give these 10 cities to the City Lord Manor as well? Datura asked. No, why should I give it to you? We gave half of the Misty Dynasty's territory to the Misty Dynasty. because our Star Moon Lake owes the Misty Dynasty a debt of gratitude. What's the point of giving it away now? Others will think we're flattering them. Yuor shook his head. And NB update most P update quickly square root. Look at what you're saying. Many people want to flatter our Misty Dynasty, but don't have the chance. Songning rolled his eyes at Night Sorrow. That's other people. Aluo, I plan to give this map to my master and the others. As for how they govern and divide it, we don't care, Night Sorrow said. That's not bad. Just treat it as a peripheral property. Datira supported Night Sorrow's decision. After the matter came to an end, Night Sorrow felt that he could finally rest. After coming to the celestial realm, he had been tormented endlessly. He was mentally tired. On this day, Night Sorrow was resting. Lin Qixing came. Manor Lord Lin is here. Please take a seat. Night Sorrow invited Lin Qixing to take a seat. Sorry to disturb you. First, I would like to congratulate Overlord Knight on your great victory this time. Lin Qixing took out 2 jars of wine and placed them on the table. Thank you so much. Manor Lord Lin is too polite. Night Sorrow opened the jar and poured a cup for Lin Qixing. Yes, you've displayed the might of our Misty Dynasty. This seat will also be arrogant when walking on the streets. Also, there's one more thing that I need Overlord Knight's help with. Lin Qixing cupped his fists towards Night Sorrow. Yes, Manor Lord Lin. If I can do it, then there's no problem. If I can't, then Manor Lord Lin can't make things difficult for me. Night Sorrow said. This seat has received the tea that Overlord Knight sent to the 7 Stars residence. Because Overlord Knight has been busy, he didn't visit to thank me. It's like this. This seat would like to ask for Overlord Knight's help to obtain a VIP card for Twilight Tea House. Lin Qixing explained his intention. About this matter, it's nothing. Night Sorrow took out a VIP card and pushed it towards Lin Qixing. Many thanks. If Overlord Knight needs any help in the future, this seat will definitely not refuse. I'll take my leave. Lin Qixing stood up and cupped his fists towards Night Sorrow. Then he finished the wine in his hand and left the Night Moon Villa. At this moment in Shadow Residence, a man was reporting something to Luo Yuandao. You're saying that before that woman was captured, she shouted at our people and asked us to inform Overlord Knight? Luo Yuandao looked at the reporting man and asked. Yes, that's what she shouted before she was captured. Because we didn't have many people at that time, and she wasn't one of us. This subordinate didn't stop her and immediately returned to report to Manor Lord. The man bowed and said, make a copy of the video and follow this seat to the Night Moon Villa. This matter was related to Night Sorrow, so Luo Yuandao attached great importance to it. That's right. Here's the first update. Chapter 1694. After listening to Luo Yuandao's subordinates, and then looking at the soul strength image in the crystal, Night Sorrow was stunned, because he recognized the image in the crystal ball. It was the Black Dragon Princess of the Devil Blood Domain, who cultivated the dragon language. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor. Nyoibo Studio. The details were as follows. It was a cultivation ground in the empty space between the Shadow Manor and the Sky Peak sect. She was cultivating the dragon language there when she was bullied by the people of the Celestial sect. She only refuted a few words before she was taken away by an emperor of the Celestial sect. Night Sorrow's face was very ugly. He didn't have a deep personal relationship with the dragon language, but she was still from the primal chaos domain, and had helped him a lot in the realm war. He couldn't just watch the dragon language fall into trouble. Who was the emperor who took her away? Night Sorrow asked. Replying to Night Lord, that person is the Thousand Return Emperor of the Celestial Sect and the City Lord of the Thousand Return region. Luo Yuandao's man said. Night Sorrow, what do you plan to do? Since this person can call out your name, she should be a very important person, right? Tell me, what do you need me to help you with? Luo Yuandao said. He spoke to Night Sorrow more casually and didn't mention anything like, Night Lord or this Lord. Patriarch Luo, do you have a map of the Thousand Return region? Give me one, I'll save him, said Yishang. Even though they weren't very close, he couldn't ignore Luo Feng. Luo Yuandao's right hand touched the storage ring on his left hand, and took out a map and handed it to Night Sorrow. This doesn't count. What else do you need? Thank you, Lord Luo. If you come forward, you will represent the ethereal dynasty. I am different. I will go first. Night Sorrow took the map and went to the transmission array. Luo Yuandao paced back and forth a few times, then left the Night Moon Villa, and went straight to the City Lord's mansion. Arriving at the exquisite glazed pagoda in the City Lord's mansion, Luo Yuandao bowed slightly. The door of the tower opened and Luo Yuandao entered. He bowed to Lin Piaomiao, who had her back to him, and reported this matter. That's the border of your Shadow Manor. Push the Shadow Army to the border. Informed Songning to bring the Songning Army over as well. Be prepared to fight at any time. See if it's appropriate to provide support to Night Sorrow. Lin Piaomiao gave a series of orders. After receiving the order, Luo Yuandao left the Linglong Pagoda to make arrangements. He was the executor of some of the City Lord's orders, so he had the authority to issue some orders. However, regarding the war, he had to seek the Ethereal Battle Emperor's opinion. After leaving the Twinkle Gem Pagoda, Luo Yuandao found Song Ning and informed him of the Ethereal Battle Emperor's orders. Hearing this, Song Ning, who had a strong desire for battle, immediately pulled the 3 armies of the Songning army to the border. Against the Celestial Sect, the Misty Dynasty didn't need to make any preparations. They could just send out their armies and fight. That's a lot of effort. Do you think Ling Daoxi will dare to refuse? Song Ning said to Luo Yuandao, whose clone was at the border camp. He doesn't dare to refuse. The problem is that Yi Shang is the one who made the decision. His character and character are there for all to see. He doesn't want to owe anyone, including our Misty Dynasty. Luo Yuandao said. That bastard is like that. However, the Thousand Revolutions Emperor shouldn't be his opponent. Song Ning wasn't very worried. He has strong principles. Although he's an overlord, he's actually more important than some palace lords in the eyes of the Battle Emperor. Luo Yuandao said with a smile. Elder Luo also thinks so? Song Ning turned to look at Luo Yuandao. Song Ning, your words have the word, also, which means you also think so. When Lin Qixing became an overlord, he was already an emperor and had many connections. Lin Qixing also made a lot of contributions to the Misty Dynasty. Night Sorrow became an overlord when he was a pseudo-emperor. To put it bluntly, he had value when he was a pseudo-emperor. Then he became an emperor and gave half of the Eastern Hao region to the Misty Dynasty. Now who dares to hurt him? The consequences are very serious. Luo Yuandao explained his analysis. I didn't think too much about it. I just feel that he does things well. Among the 7 palace lords, only Yang Tianlai has some conflicts with him. Han Jinyue and Jiang Tianheng have an ordinary relationship with him. As for the rest of us, shouldn't we all help him when he needs help? No one can just stand by and watch, right? I know that Lin Qixing shamelessly asked him for a VIP card for the Twilight Tea House. Song Ning said. You talked behind his back. Luo Yuandao turned to look at Lin Qixing, who walked out of the teleportation array. Palace Lord Song, it's not good to talk behind people's backs, right? Lin Qixing glanced at Song Ning. Talk behind people's backs? What's wrong with calling you shamelessly in front of your face? Song Ning repeated. Stop fooling around. What's the situation now? Night Sorrow is strong, but he's too young. Don't get cheated. Lin Qixing changed the topic. He couldn't do anything if Song Ning scolded him. Besides, he was also worried about Night Sorrow. You should be more worried about Ling Qianhui. That woman isn't injured, so it's not a big problem. If she is, then it's a big problem. Song Ning said. Soon after, Wu Feng also came. He knew that there was a problem with Night Sorrow and naturally came over. Night Sorrow took the teleportation array to the nearest city to Thousand Return City. He then flew out of Thousand Return City. He set up a teleportation array and embedded a teleportation crystal in the disk. He went near the city walls and checked the weak spots of the patrols. Night Sorrow's body flashed and entered the city. As they advanced through the city, Night Sorrow's soul force probed the area to the maximum. He wanted to find Draconic's whereabouts. The dragon language wasn't in the city lord's mansion. Night Sorrow also didn't find the dragon language in the vicinity of the city lord's mansion. Yishang was a bit anxious. He found a hidden corner and knocked out a patrol. Then, he brought him into the dragon cauldron and interrogated him. He learned that the Thousand Return Emperor had another residence. It was north of Thousand Return City. At this moment, in the main hall of the Thousand Return Emperor's residence, the dragon language in a blue dress had her cultivation sealed, and was tied to a large pillar. It's no use even if you know Night Sorrow. There should be many people who know him. The key is whether he knows you or not. I've captured you for 4 days, but no one came to save you, right? I want to refine the dragon blood pill. I have to say, your entire body is a treasure. The Thousand Return Emperor said to the dragon language with a cold aura. Do as you wish. Maybe he doesn't have the strength to fight against you now, but you will definitely pay the price in the future. Being captured by you, I accept my fate. Long Yu stared at the Qianhui Emperor, his eyes filled with killing intent. If you're cultivating in human form, I can keep you and have an heir with the bloodline of dragons. That's not bad. Unfortunately, you're in human form and your true form is still a dragon. I can only regret it. However, I can use a secret method to raise the energy in your body to the Emperor level. I can refine the Dragon Blood Pill and Dragon Bone Pill. Although it can't raise my cultivation, it can infinitely increase my battle strength. So just accept your bad luck. Ling Qianhui looked at the dragon language with a strong possessive gaze. You dare talk nonsense about the bloodline of dragons? Haha. The dragon language laughed. The dragon language said, here's the second update. Chapter 1695. Equals Vyong Digio Free RM Read F novels and, is it funny? What's the situation now? I'm the knife and you're the meat on my chopping block. I'll use your body to refine pills and watch you struggle. The effect will be good. Seeing dragon language laughing, Thousand Return got angry for no reason. It's funny. You're the Thousand Return Emperor, right? I'm sure you'll pay the price. There was no fear on Long Yu's face, but there was regret in her eyes. She had been captured with her true body, which had comprehended the realm. Unfortunately, her clone was exploring in a spatial world. Now even if she wanted to rush back to ask for help, it was too late, and there was no place to ask for help. She knew that Yishang was the lord of the Misty Dynasty, but she didn't know that Yishang had entered the Imperial realm. At this time, Night Sorrow was near Thousand Return Mansion. Using his soul force to investigate the situation, he was a bit annoyed. Refining a living body was very cruel, and was also a taboo. Almost no alchemist would do this, because if others found out, they would become public enemies. Thousand Return Emperor Ling Qianhui dared to do it, because capturing dragon language was a secret. Besides, no one would know that he was refining pills with a living body. Ling Qianhui took out his alchemy cauldron. Bear with it for a while. I still have to extract your dragon tendons and bones. Then I'll refine the dragon blood pill. The more resentment you have in your heart, the stronger the soul power in the dragon blood pill. 2-star Emperor. Yishang detected Ling Qianhui's cultivation. Yishang's soul power was strong, and with the help of the 9 regions origin bead, he could detect Ling Qianhui. However, he was still outside the range of Ling Qianhui's soul power. Since you're cruel, don't blame me for being cruel. Night Sorrow took a deep breath and waved his space splitter spear, piercing through space. He then entered the 8-dragon cauldron and entered the spatial turbulence, approaching the Thousand Return residence. Normally speaking, it was very difficult to approach a 9th-stage Monarch Realm cultivator without being noticed. Monarch Realm cultivators had strong soul energy and could cover a large area. However, Night Sorrow was proficient in the space-time attribute and was good at surviving in spatial turbulence. Therefore, he could avoid this problem. Night Sorrow snuck into Qianhui's mansion and slowly approached the main hall. There was only a spatial barrier between Qianhui and the dragon language. At this time, Ling Qianhui stretched his hand towards the back of the dragon language's neck. He wanted to extract the dragon language's backbone and tendons. How could Night Sorrow allow Ling Qianhui to succeed? The space-splitting spear pierced through the spatial barrier and arrived in the real world. The space-time domain burst forth with suppression, and then the destructive true dragon chant was unleashed. Ling Qianhui's expression changed as he was about to extract the tendons and bones from the dragon language's neck. He didn't know what was going on with this sudden attack. Ling Qianhui's soul energy was shaken, resisting the destructive true dragon chant's influence on his soul energy. He withdrew his right hand and took out his weapon, releasing his gravity domain and great earth space. At the same time, his weapon faced Night Sorrow's space-splitting spear. Following a muffled sound, Ling Qianhui was repelled by Night Sorrow's spear. There was a difference in the amount of Zhen Qi between the two, but Night Sorrow's physical strength was stronger. After repelling Ling Qianhui, Night Sorrow used his left hand as a blade and cut off the chains binding the dragon language. Then he clenched his wrist and sent a stream of energy into the dragon language's dantian, dispersing the energy sealing Ling Qianhui's dantian. Without energy to protect the dragon language, it was very weak and could be easily injured. After resolving the crisis of the dragon language, Night Sorrow's body flickered and charged towards Ling Qianhui. At this moment, Night Sorrow was in a rage. Ling Qianhui was too cruel to the dragon language. If he came a little later, even if it was just half a cup of tea's time, the dragon language would have suffered irreparable damage. Night Sorrow used the destructive true dragon chant and 3 soul destruction crescent moon blades towards Ling Qianhui's head. After detecting that Ling Qianhui's soul had solidified, Night Sorrow knew that this was Ling Qianhui's true body. Now he wanted to kill him because the dragon language said that it was related to him. Since Ling Qianhui was so ruthless, there was no need to be polite. At this moment, there was a halo above Ling Qianhui's head. It was a soul defense magic treasure, but the light was very weak. In the world domain, soul defense magic treasures were extremely rare. However, in the celestial realm, there were still many of them. Some cultivators who didn't have any soul defense magic treasures would pay a huge price to get a heavenly master or emperor preceptor to refine a soul defense magic treasure. However, the defensive effect wasn't necessarily good. The key was the strength of the user's soul power. Night Sorrow's destructive true dragon chant was effective. The soul destruction crescent moon blades broke through Ling Qianhui's soul defense magic treasure and cut into his spirit sea. When his spirit sea was attacked, Ling Qianhui had to use his soul power to suppress it. The strength that he could display was greatly reduced. He barely managed to block Night Sorrow's attack with his sword. However, his body was sent flying. Scum, you must die today. Night Sorrow used the void steps to catch up with Ling Qianhui. The space splitter spear vibrated again as he executed the void origin strike. Ling Qianhui couldn't even speak. His cultivation level was obviously higher than Night Sorrow's. However, because his soul power wasn't strong enough, he was in a passive state. He didn't even have the strength to retaliate. However, he still managed to crush a messaging crystal. As Night Sorrow's void origin strike converged, Ling Qianhui's weapon was destroyed. Night Sorrow's space splitter spear pierced Ling Qianhui's chest. Ling Qianhui's shoulder armor released radiance to protect his entire body. Emperor Realm cultivators had deep foundations. Ling Qianhui had both soul defense magic treasures and body armor. However, because his soul was attacked, his qi couldn't display its might. Without qi, the armor's defensive power wouldn't be enough. Ling Qianhui's shoulder armor was directly shattered by Night Sorrow's space splitter spear. His body was sent flying again. You still want to use a living body to concoct pills? Today, I will cripple you first. Night Sorrow's body flashed and caught up with Ling Qianhui. He executed the space splitter spear and followed up with the void origin strike. At this moment, Ling Qianhui's internal organs were injured by Night Sorrow's attack. His qi circulation couldn't keep up, and he didn't have a weapon to defend himself. He could only punch out. Night Sorrow's space splitter spear's purple radiance exploded. It directly destroyed Ling Qianhui's right fist. After which, it pierced through Ling Qianhui's chest and pierced through his body. Night Sorrow, I want him alive. Dragon language shouted. Yi Shan, who had originally intended to destroy Ling Qianhui's dantian, stopped the space splitter spear's downward cut. It only shook for a moment. Then his left hand shot out energy to seal Ling Qianhui's dantian, whose soul was still in a daze from the attack. His left hand punched Ling Qianhui's temple, knocking him unconscious. Then he threw him into the 8-dragon cauldron. Dragon language, are you all right? Night Sorrow looked at dragon language and asked. You came just in time. If you came a little later, I would have been skinned alive. Dragon language's complexion wasn't very good. Just now he had suffered a lot. The pressure in his heart was extremely great. He has a clone and he even crushed the messaging crystal. We don't have much time. We have to leave quickly. Can you enter my spatial treasure? Night Sorrow looked at dragon language and asked. If you didn't come, I would have lost my life. Why can't I enter your spatial treasure? Dragon language nodded. Night Sorrow kept the non-resisting dragon language into his spatial treasure. Then, he used his soul force to investigate Ling Qianhui's mansion, after which he searched for anything valuable. Chapter 1696. Sorry you're late, Night Sorrow muttered. He activated the teleportation disc and left the 1,000 return residents, arriving at the teleportation array outside the city. After dismantling the teleportation array, Night Sorrow flew towards the nearest city. When he arrived at the nearest city, Yishan changed his attire and entered the city. When he saw the tense atmosphere in the city, he knew that the matter of him attacking Ling Qianhui had been discovered and reported to the other cities. However, the teleportation array was not closed. Night Sorrow entered the teleportation array and began to teleport. After teleporting many times, Night Sorrow returned to the Misty Dynasty's territory. He was safe now. Night Sorrow did not know about the Misty Dynasty's arrangements. He directly returned to the Misty Dynasty's imperial city and went to the Night Moon Villa. When he arrived at the Night Moon Villa, Night Sorrow brought out the dragon language and Ling Qianhui. Although they were both in the 8-dragon cauldron, the dragon language had been recovering and did not bother Ling Qianhui. Ling Qianhui woke up, but his condition wasn't good. Because Night Sorrow had attacked both his soul and body, the damage was still very great. Dragon language nodded to Datura and greeted him. He went to Ling Qianhui and took off his storage ring, throwing it to Night Sorrow. Can you arrange a place for me to stay? Sure, Aluo, you arrange it. Night Sorrow nodded to Datura. Seeing that Night Sorrow had returned safely, Datura was very happy. He took Ling Qianhui's dragon language and went to arrange it. You're very fast. Not long after you went out, you caught an Emperor Realm expert. Lin Xian'er appeared. I am very fast. Where's Old Song? I have to go to the City Lord's residence and catch an Emperor Realm cultivator from the Celestial sect. This is not a small matter. They will come looking for me. Night Sorrow said. What are you afraid of? I think this matter is a matter of face in the eyes of the Battle Emperor. Would the Celestial sect still dare to attack us? Lin Xian'er said with a smile. But it's still a close call. Night Sorrow felt that it was inappropriate. Don't think too much about it. If the Celestial sect wants to find you and negotiate with you, they can't let the Misty Dynasty off. They won't dare to act recklessly. Besides, the Celestial sect has a bad relationship with the Misty Dynasty. Otherwise, Songning and the others wouldn't have taken over a territory of 80 million miles, Lin Xian'er said. When Night Sorrow returned, Songning knew about it. Her original body had come to Night Moon Villa. Night Sorrow, you're amazing. You're a 1-star monarch, but you managed to capture a 2-star monarch just by going out. How domineering. I'll report this to Lord Battle Emperor. Before Night Sorrow could say anything, Songning left. An hour later, Songning returned to the Night Moon Manor. Boss Song, what did the Battle Emperor say? Night Sorrow asked. He said that you can do whatever you want. If you want to kill him, then kill him. When Ling Qianhui captured him, your friend mentioned your name, but the other party insisted on doing it. That means he didn't give you any face. He didn't give our Misty Dynasty's lord any face. There's no need to be polite. Since he dared to come to the Misty Dynasty, Lord Battle Emperor will deal with him, Songning said. Yeah, I don't plan on letting him live. Even if Long Yu doesn't kill him, I will kill him. Killing intent appeared on Yi Shang's face. He couldn't accept the fact that he had to pull out the tendons and dig out the bones to concoct pills alive. You can kill him? Dragon language appeared. You can kill him. You can vent your anger however you want. Night Sorrow nodded. If you were late by a few breaths, he would have pulled out my bones. I'll let him have a taste of it. Dragon Language nodded to Night Sorrow and left to deal with Ling Qianhui. Dragon Language hated Ling Qianhui, but if it wasn't for Night Sorrow, she would have just tortured him. She was afraid of causing trouble for Night Sorrow. When she came to the celestial realm, she did the same as Night Sorrow. She was clear about the situation in the celestial sect. She was worried that if she rashly killed Ling Qianhui, it would bring trouble to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to clean up the mess. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Dragon Language was confident. She could do whatever she wanted. Night Moon Villa, miserable screams could be heard from time to time. That was Dragon Language using torture to deal with Ling Qianhui. After patrolling Lin High Street, Ghost Monkey, who had nothing to do, found Dragon Language. He helped Dragon Language think of a way to deal with Ling Qianhui. At this moment, in the main hall of the Celestial Sect, the upper echelons were all sitting together. They were clear about the situation. Ling Qianhui was also in the main hall, but it was just a clone. Sect Master, save me. I can't hold on for long. Ling Qianhui bowed deeply to Ling Daoxiu. He wanted to live because if his main body was destroyed, his future would be gone. When you captured him, he called for Night Sorrow. That means he's Night Sorrow's friend. Don't you know what kind of person Night Sorrow is? He's a mad dog. Don't you know how badly Donghao Mountain was bitten? The World Edge Pavilion took out a city and Saint Spirit stones as compensation. Don't you know? Ling Daoxiu roared. Ling Daoxiu knew about Night Sorrow's reputation. With the protection of the Ethereal Empire and his own power, no one would want to mess with Night Sorrow. Ling Qianhui was beaten up by Night Sorrow, and he was in the wrong. Ling Daoxiu didn't know how to deal with this. Currently, the conflict between the Celestial Sect and the Ethereal Empire was quite serious. They had just seized 80 million miles of territory. 80 million miles of territory was nothing to the Celestial Sect. It wasn't even 1/10 of the territory. However, the Ethereal Empire's attitude was very clear. If you did something wrong, they would beat you. They wouldn't give you any face. That's a lone dragon. Ling Qianhui said. Do you have the ability to take it down? Ling Daoxiu was furious. The upper echelons of the Celestial Sect were discussing how to deal with this, but Ling Qianhui didn't dare to say anything. The final result was that Ling Daoxiu went to negotiate with Night Sorrow. If it didn't work out, he would go to the Ethereal Battle Emperor and ask for a favor. The Celestial Sect couldn't give up a 2-star monarch expert. Moreover, he was a member of the Ling family. If possible, Ling Daoxiu really didn't want to go to the Ethereal Empire, because he would definitely lose face. No one would be nice to him. Night Moon Manor was filled with miserable screams. The Dragon Language used all kinds of torture on Ling Qianhui. Ling Qianhui was a monarch expert and wouldn't die so easily. The Ghost Monkey also had a hobby of torturing people. He gave the Dragon Language a lot of bad ideas. Night Sorrow didn't care about this. Luo Yuandao and Lin Qixing still led the Ethereal Empire's army to the border. Song Ning and Wu Feng stayed in Night Sorrow's residence because everyone knew that the Celestial Sect wouldn't give up on Ling Qianhui. If Ling Qianhui died, the Celestial Sect would either fight or endure. However, the Dragon Language didn't kill him directly, and even left him with a breath. This made the Celestial Sect have to deal with him even if they didn't want to. Ling Daoxiu arrived at the Ethereal Imperial City. After registering with the Teleportation Array Guard, he came to Night Moon Manor. Chapter 1697. No matter who it was or how famous they were, Night Sorrow had no intention of talking to them. Ling Qianhui was already a dead man in his eyes. Hearing Ji Dao's refusal, Ling Daoxiu was infuriated because he clearly saw that Night Sorrow was fine. He also saw Ling Qianhui's condition. His dantian was shattered, and his cultivation was destroyed. His legs were charred black, and there was a destructive aura lingering around them. There was also poison. It was an irreparable injury. However, even though he was angry, Ling Daoxiu didn't have any thoughts of barging in because there were 2 monarchs' auras in the mansion. They were Wu Feng and Song Ning. He wouldn't be able to do anything if he went in, and he couldn't bear the consequences. After thinking about it, Ling Daoxiu knew that he couldn't do it with Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow said he didn't have time, which meant that he wouldn't give him any face. Ling Daoxiu arrived at the city lord's mansion and handed over the visiting card. The one who received him was Elder Lan. Elder Lan reported to the ethereal battle emperor, who gave him the same reply as Night Sorrow. She didn't even call herself Night Sorrow. She just said I don't have time. This was because Lin Xian'er knew Night Sorrow's reply to Ling Daoxiu. After hearing the reply, Ling Daoxiu didn't move for a long time. He wasn't an idiot and thought of something. The ethereal battle emperor already knew about his request to see Night Sorrow, and she also knew about Night Sorrow's attitude and reply. Ling Daoxiu left the city lord's mansion. After thinking for a while, he found a tea house and sat down. Although he had lost face, he couldn't give up on saving Ling Qianhui. Even if his cultivation was destroyed, he still had to save him. As long as his main body was alive, there was a chance of recovery. After thinking about it, Ling Daoxiu felt that he still had to find Night Sorrow. From the ethereal battle emperor's attitude, she respected Night Sorrow's opinion. After Ling Daoxiu left, Night Sorrow went to Dragon Language's residence. At this moment, Dragon Language and Ghost Monkey were still attacking Ling Qianhui with all their might. Night Sorrow, you'll die a horrible death. Ling Qianhui looked at Night Sorrow and roared. You scolded our young master. I'll pull out your remaining teeth first. Hearing Ling Qianhui scold Yishang, Ghost Monkey was unhappy. He was now addressing Yishang as young master, just like Hong Yi and Lan Ning. Ghost Monkey, you can take your time to deal with this later. Ling Qianhui, karma doesn't feel good. Back then, Long Yu said that it was related to me, but you didn't give me any face. Naturally, I won't give you any face. Back then, you said that Long Yu was a fish on the chopping block, and you were the knife. Long Yu said that you had to pay the price, but you didn't believe me. Was all. Hehe. I don't mind telling you something. Even half of Celestial Sect's territory is not as important as our life. Dragon Language. Avoid unnecessary trouble, and prevent the other party from having the illusion of getting him back. I don't want to see him for 3 days. Night Sorrow said to Dragon Language. Okay. Dragon Language nodded. She was excited, but her face was calm. She understood what Night Sorrow was giving up in order to kill Ling Qianhui. It was an expensive ransom. After staying in Night Moon Villa for the past few days, Dragon Language knew that anyone who wanted to negotiate with Night Sorrow would have to pay a huge price. However, for the sake of her, Dragon Language, Night Sorrow gave up on negotiations and gave up on asking for resources. You lowly spawn, to think that your sect master would come personally. You're quite valuable, but it's a pity that our young master wants to kill you. Miss Long, we're going to have to be ruthless. We don't have much time left. Okay. Dragon Language took the whip in Ghost Monkey's hand. It was a steel whip with barbs. Hearing that Night Sorrow wanted to kill him, Ling Qianhui was anxious. His clone in Celestial Sect's headquarters found Ling Daoxiu's original body, and told him about this. Ling Daoxiu waved his hand and dismissed Ling Qianhui. He was full of anger now. Because Ethereal Battle Emperor didn't give him face, he could accept it because he wasn't on the same level as Ethereal Battle Emperor. But what about Night Sorrow? He, Ling Daoxiu, wasn't on the same level as Ethereal Battle Emperor. Night Sorrow wasn't on the same level as him either. However, Night Sorrow didn't give him any face and directly said that he didn't have time. After thinking for a while, Ling Daoxiu felt that Night Sorrow was pressuring him through Ling Qianhui, and wouldn't really want Ling Qianhui's life. After all, Ling Qianhui had offended Night Sorrow, a friend. It couldn't be compared to a huge amount of resources. After waiting for 2 days, Ling Daoxiu once again came to Night Moon Villa to seek an audience. Someone wanted to visit Night Moon Villa. The first obstacle was Ji Dao. The pavilion at the Night Moon Villa's entrance was his. The small martial arts arena was also his. When someone came to visit, the servants would inform him first. In Night Moon Villa, there were no guards at the entrance, only servants. No time. Again, Night Sorrow didn't want to see Ling Daoxiu, and Ling Daoxiu didn't dare to fight his way in. Therefore, Night Sorrow was very confident. After receiving Night Sorrow's reply, Ling Daoxiu's anger soared to the sky. However, he forcefully suppressed it. He already understood that Night Sorrow wasn't playing hard to get. Night Sorrow really wanted to kill Ling Qianhui. Lord Knight, there's nothing that can't be resolved. We have to sit down and talk. Ling Daoxiu directly used his true qi to transmit a message. After Night Sorrow heard Ling Daoxiu's transmission, he stopped practicing his spear. He tossed the air splitter spear behind his back and arrived at Dragon Language's residence. Young master. Ghost Monkey looked at Night Sorrow. Dragon Language, come with me. Night Sorrow called out to Dragon Language. He carried the already deformed Ling Qianhui and walked towards the entrance of Night Moon Villa. Sister Xianair, what is this guy doing? Is he going to hand him over? Songning, who was drinking tea with Lin Xianair, saw Night Sorrow's actions and asked in astonishment. Impossible. The most likely thing is that he wants to kill Ling Qianhui in front of Ling Daoxiu. Let's go take a look. Ling Daoxiu shouldn't act out of desperation. Lin Xianair stood up and walked towards the entrance of Night Moon Villa. She knew that this matter would come to an end after Ling Daoxiu's 2 requests for an audience. Night Sorrow carried the dead Ling Qianhui back to the entrance of Night Moon Villa. Emperor Daoxiu, right? Do you know what he did? You want to hand him over? Night Sorrow looked at Ling Daoxiu and threw out a sentence when they arrived at the entrance of Night Moon Villa. No matter what, he's from the Celestial Sect. We have to talk. Ling Daoxiu opened his mouth and said, if he's from the Celestial Sect, then he wants to refine pills alive. Is the Celestial Sect behind this matter? You just have to tell me, do you admit to this matter? Night Sorrow's eyes were filled with a sharp gaze. Carrot update L plus new T most fastest Vion. It's hard to say what's going on. I'll go back and deal with it. Ling Daoxiu didn't dare to risk universal condemnation and admit to refining pills alive because it was too serious. Chapter 1698. Night Sorrow, don't you dare. Ling Daoxiu was enraged. His aura rippled in all directions. Night Sorrow. Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow. She knew that the matter had reached a critical juncture. If Ling Qianhui was killed, Star Moon Lake and Celestial Sect would become enemies. Don't be so wishy-washy. Night Sorrow pulled out the Space Splitter Spear with his right hand and swung it. The Space Splitter Spear pierced through the air, closing the distance of 20 feet in an instant. The Space Splitter Spear pierced through the center of Ling Qianhui's brows, nailing his body to a huge boulder at the entrance of the Yeyue Mountain Villa. Do you think I dare or not? Night Sorrow looked at Ling Daoxiu. Not only did he use his words, but he also used his actions to prove whether he dared or not. You deserve to die. Ling Daoxiu pointed at Night Sorrow. Due to his extreme anger, his finger was trembling. Saying that I deserve to die. Are you declaring war on me, Night Sorrow? Very well. Since you dared to touch my people, Night Sorrow, then I'll see how much stronger your Celestial Sect is compared to Eastern Hao Mountain. Night Sorrow extended his right hand and took the Space Splitter Spear that nailed Ling Qianhui. Ling Daoxiu, you're declaring war on the Lord of my Misty Dynasty, right? Songning narrowed his eyes and looked at Ling Daoxiu. I have no intention of declaring war. Manor Lord Song, you've misunderstood. Night Sorrow, this is a personal grudge between us. If you're a man, then don't involve others. Ling Daoxiu looked at Night Sorrow. He really didn't dare to declare war. And here I thought you were confident enough to do so. If you want to declare war, then you'll have to swallow your words. There's no future for you. How do you want to play? I'll accept it. Night Sorrow turned and walked back into the mansion. He didn't say anything else to Ling Daoxiu. Lin Xianair and Songning followed behind Night Sorrow. Dragon Language noticed that Ling Qianhui's pierced head was glowing. She grabbed Ling Qianhui's soul defense treasure with her right hand and put it away. We don't want the corpse. With that, Dragon Language also returned to the Night Moon Villa. Ling Daoxiu retrieved Ling Qian's corpse and left. He felt extremely stifled in his heart. Watching his junior being killed with his own eyes without being able to do anything was quite a blow to him. Night Sorrow returned to his residence and brewed a pot of tea. It was as if he wasn't the one who had just killed someone in front of Ling Daoxiu. Night Sorrow, did I cause you trouble? Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow and asked in a low voice. No. Night Sorrow shook his head. But the Sky Peak sect already bears a grudge against you. The dragon language was filled with guilt again. Then let me say something. The reason I, Night Sorrow, came to the celestial realm was to first break the shackles of the primal chaos realm, being unable to produce an emperor. Second, after becoming an emperor, to solve the problem of the evil dragon poison flame in my Ant Phase body. Third, to see how powerful the Sky Peak sect is. Night Sorrow took a sip of tea and said, Night Sorrow, do you have a grudge with the Sky Peak sect? Lin Xian'er asked. Yes, the Sky Peak sect almost destroyed one of our worlds. Later, the main culprit ran away and ran to the celestial realm. They received orders from the celestial realm's Sky Peak sect. Night Sorrow said. So that's how it is. What are they trying to do by plundering the origin energy of a world with billions of lives? Lin Xian'er frowned. She didn't know much about this matter. However, through Night Sorrow's words, she understood why Night Sorrow wanted to kill. Grudge, because the grudge was deep. Making someone lose their place of survival was like cutting off their path to survival. This was an irreconcilable enmity. With this kind of enmity, no one would be merciful. No wonder your killing intent was so heavy today. However, it's nothing much. He didn't even dare to declare war, Song Ning said with a smile. In fact, Lin Xian'er wasn't the only one who was puzzled. She also didn't understand. Normally, Night Sorrow wouldn't be so radical and kill someone in front of Ling Daoxiu. Dragon language, don't go out without you for the next few days. Just stay here. If they can't figure it out, they might take it out on you. Night Sorrow reminded Dragon language. I'll follow you from now on. I won't run away. Dragon language said. All right. You can rest assured and stay here. You came with me, so we'll stay together. Night Sorrow nodded at Dragon language. Night Sorrow knew very well that the Sky Peak sect wouldn't let this matter go. It could be said that they had become mortal enemies. However, he didn't care. Why original unspecified currency version? Why first carat? Haha. Night Sorrow, do you know that if you're willing to make a deal, the Sky Peak sect will bleed a lot this time? For a 2-star emperor, they can give you dozens of cities and tens of millions of Saint Spirit stones. Song Ning said. Sometimes resources aren't as important as venting. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Dragon language, who was listening on the side, was shocked. At this moment, she understood what Night Sorrow had given up for her. After the incident, everything quieted down. However, the news still spread. Even if Night Sorrow didn't say it, many people in Qianhui City knew about it. Such a big matter couldn't be hidden from them. Night Sorrow's name once again entered everyone's ears. A 1-star emperor had captured a 2-star emperor and killed him in front of the Sky Peak sect's sect master. This was something that others couldn't do and didn't dare to do. While they admired him, they were also worried that Night Sorrow would cause big trouble. The Misty Dynasty protected the Moon and Star Lake, but a force like the Sky Peak sect had many ways to deal with Night Sorrow. Song Ning and Lin Xian'er were drinking tea alone in the attic of the Night Moon Villa. Sister Xian'er, don't mind him. Night Sorrow's temper is like this. He won't compromise with the Sky Peak sect. Song Ning said. What's there to mind? This is a good thing. So what if he offended the Sky Peak sect? Even if we didn't have a personal relationship, from his point of view, half of the Donghao Mountain in exchange for protection should be worth something, right? Lin Xian'er said with a smile. It's good that you don't mind. Song Ning said. You think too much. Night Sorrow isn't just your friend, he's also my friend. You don't have to take responsibility for anything. Lin Xian'er looked at Song Ning and said. However, an even more shocking news spread. Night Sorrow of the Misty Dynasty had taken in a pure-blooded black dragon. Lin Xian'er found Night Sorrow and said, I've been worried about this problem. The problem still came. This news isn't good. Sister Xian, tell me. Night Sorrow didn't understand. It's fine if you take in other races of dragons, but not black dragons. Black dragons and the human race are sworn enemies. Black dragons once attacked our Tianhuang city. It's troublesome to have a member of the pure-blooded black dragon in our territory, even if it's not a threat. Lin Xian'er said. Sister Xian, dragon language came from the chaotic realm with me. There's no racial grudge, Night Sorrow said with a frown. Gossip is a fearful thing. You have to know that some things can't be done just because you say so. Even the War Emperor can't deal with this matter, because the ones who ask about it might be the human race's sect elder. Lin Xiano said. Sister Xian, or what do we do now? Night Sorrow didn't know how to deal with it. Hide, but the human race's sect elder's methods are terrifying. It's not that easy to hide, Lin Xiano said. Chapter 1699. It's useless. You don't understand the methods of the elders of the human race. Besides, even if you hide the dragon language, you will still be in trouble. Do you think you can escape from being labeled a traitor of the human race? Lin Xiano said. A traitor of the human race? I am the deluxe merit great sage, and will soon become the deluxe merit heavenly monarch. Will they label me as a traitor of the human race? Night Sorrow stood up, a little agitated. I'm just guessing. The dragon language must be hidden in a place where others can't find it. Even if they find it, they can't go to it. Let nature take its course for the rest, Lin Xiano said. I'll hide the dragon language first. We'll talk about the rest later. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't expect the situation to be so serious. Make some backup plans. A man without foresight will have immediate troubles, Lin Xiano said. As the ethereal battle empress, Lin Xiano did not only have influence in the ethereal empire, but this matter involved the human race, so the problem was not easy to deal with. The last time the Black Dragon race attacked the Heavenly Desolation City, it had caused a lot of damage to the human race, and some of the human race's elders had even fallen, so the problem involving the Black Dragon race was very serious. Night Sorrow found the dragon language, and told her about the current problem. Night Sorrow, I've caused trouble for you this time. Dragon language said apologetically. Now that things have come to this, it's meaningless to think about how to avoid it. How about this? Go back to the primal chaos realm and cultivate. Don't come back without my notice. Aluo, go and send them off. Also, when you reach the Star Moon Lake, get the key people to teleport back. Then, take out the teleportation crystal of the teleportation formation, and bring it to me. Night Sorrow said to Datura. Night Sorrow, I won't be able to enter the Emperor realm if I return to the Primal Chaos realm. It wasn't easy for me to reach my current realm. I plan to travel around. I don't have a fixed place to stay, so it won't be easy for others to catch me. I have some secret talents. Dragon language thought for a moment and said. She was now a half-step emperor, which was her reward after entering the celestial realm. I can't decide where you go or your future, but you have to know that the divination skills of the celestial realm experts are powerful. You should be prepared for some things. Night Sorrow said. I understand. Dragons. Dragon language said. That's fine. This is an illusion array disk. You can stay in it for a long time. Just activate it once, and it can isolate the outside environment. Even if the other party divines your whereabouts, they won't be able to determine your location. Here are 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones. Take it. This is all I can do for you. Night Sorrow took out a storage ring and handed it to Dragon Language. Night Sorrow, I will remember your kindness. If I can reach the Emperor realm, I will come back to find you and help you solve the problem of the dragon's blood. Dragon Language didn't pretend to be pretentious. She took the storage ring and cupped her hands at Night Sorrow before leaving the Night Moon Villa. Then, do we still need to take out the teleportation crystal of the Star Moon Lake? Datura asked Night Sorrow. Dragon Language hasn't returned to the Primal Chaos realm yet. We won't need it for now, Night Sorrow said. While Night Sorrow was thinking about this problem, Songning came to tell Night Sorrow that the ethereal battle emperor would open up the evil Punisher land for them in 3 days. Night Sorrow was stunned. He didn't expect it to be so soon. The last time they said it would be 3 years later. Now it was brought forward by so much. However, this was a good thing. Night Sorrow immediately told Lin Xianer to prepare. In fact, this was Lin Xianer's decision. Ghost Wings was an opportunity for her. At the same time, she also wanted Night Sorrow to lie low for a while. The dragon language was a serious matter. It was so serious that she couldn't take it head-on. Night Sorrow, this matter is serious. You should go in with your original body. Even if something happens, you can lie low for a while. Lin Xian'er looked at Night Sorrow and said, my original body's nihility domain is progressing very quickly. Now that I've lost contact with my doppelganger, I should be in a state of enlightenment. My doppelganger can also confirm the location of the evil Punisher land. Night Sorrow said. Looking at Night Sorrow, Lin Xian'er didn't say anything else. This was Night Sorrow's decision. After 3 days of preparation, Night Sorrow was about to set off. Even the ethereal battle emperor had arrived at the Night Moon Villa. Boss Tsong, if anyone finds trouble with me, tell them to wait. I'll be back in 3 months. Don't hurt the innocent. Night Sorrow said to Tsong Ning, who was still in the Night Moon Villa. Don't worry about that. Whether it's the Star Moon Lake or the Night Moon Villa, they are all under my protection. No matter who it is, they can't act recklessly. However, you have to be careful when it comes to the Black Dragons. Ethereal Battle Emperor said. Hearing Ethereal Battle Emperor's words, Night Sorrow was relieved. This was what he was most worried about. After that, Night Sorrow, Datira, and Lin Xian'er were led to the evil Punisher Gate by the Ethereal Battle Emperor. Following the activation of the sealing array, Night Sorrow and the other two entered the evil Punisher land. Night Sorrow sensed the location of the evil Punisher land source. After confirming the direction, he began to move forward. The Ethereal Battle Emperor returned to the City Lord's mansion and made some arrangements. She arranged for Night Sorrow to enter the evil Punisher land, because it wasn't convenient for her to fall out with some people. She was also one of those people. She was almost certain that things wouldn't end so easily. The reason why Ling Daoxi released this news was because he also knew some things. He knew that releasing news related to the Black Dragons would bring trouble to Night Sorrow. The Black Dragons had appeared in human territory, so they had to deal with it. Anyone related to the Black Dragons would be implicated. Lord Battle Emperor, is this matter very serious? Song Ning asked. It's very serious. The natural enemy of our human race is the Demon-Winged Clan. After the last battle between the human race and the Demon-Winged Clan, the Black Dragons took action and completely stood against the human race. This caused the Azure Dragons and the Black Dragons to draw a clear line between themselves. The Demon-Winged Clan is not only the enemy of us humans, but also the dragons and other races. It can be said that the Black Dragons are the enemy of our 100 Races Alliance. Night Sorrow has a connection with the Black Dragons this time, so the Alliance will definitely investigate. It's just a matter of time. Lin Ethereal Battle Emperor said. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, maybe the news hasn't reached them yet. Song Ning said. You're thinking too simply. The Celestial Sect has someone in the 100 Races Alliance. He's the sworn brother of the Celestial Emperor, so the news will definitely reach them. The result is obvious. Capturing the dragon language is certain. As for how Night Sorrow will be dealt with, I can't say. Lin Ethereal Battle Emperor said. Lord Battle Emperor, then Night Sorrow should run. Luo Yuandao said. He was also anxious for Night Sorrow. We'll see. After all, Night Sorrow is the deluxe merit Grand Sage. No one can just make empty promises and pin a crime on him. Lin Ethereal Battle Emperor said. Chapter 1700. Lin Piaomiao had a few considerations for bringing forward the time of entering the evil Punisher land. One was to let Night Sorrow avoid the limelight for a while. The other was to let Night Sorrow increase his power of virtue. Within the land of evil execution, Yi Shang's group of 3 flew quickly, arriving at the location of the teleportation array he had reserved. Yi Shang embedded another realm teleportation crystal into the teleportation array, then split the crystal into 2 parts, and placed them into the teleportation array discs, handing one each to Mandela and Lin Xian'er. If there's time, I'll have to refine some more teleportation array discs. Then, the 3 of them flew towards the location that Night Sorrow had sensed. Night Sorrow, don't be in a hurry. If there are evil spirits, we still have to kill them. Accumulating resources and accumulating luck at the same time will only be beneficial to us. We have a lot of time, so there's no need to rush. Lin Xian'er said to Night Sorrow. With Lin Xian'er's words, the three of them headed towards the source of the evil Punisher land amidst the slaughter. As long as they saw evil spirits, they would kill them. At this moment, in a world filled with a violent aura, a modeled ancient city sat in the middle. Compared to other cities in the celestial realm, the ancient city was much smaller in scale. However, if one were to take a closer look, they would discover that it was different from other cities. This ancient city was situated on the sea, on a bridge that extended out of the sea. The city was surrounded by rusty iron chains that extended deep into the sea, securing the city. The black whirlwinds produced by the sea constantly attacked the city, but the tall and majestic city walls that were the same color as the iron chains kept these violent whirlwinds outside the city. The city was very quiet, without any noise that other cities would have. However, groups of soldiers walked back and forth, bringing a somber atmosphere to the city. The tallest buildings in the city were the 5 ancient pagodas. The one in the middle was slightly taller than the ones beside it. At this moment, on one of the levels of the ancient pagodas, there were a few old men sitting. Elder Gu, have you received the message? Members of the Black Dragons have appeared in your human territory. An old man wearing a robe filled with various kinds of herbs said, I've received the message. This matter needs to be investigated. The man called Elder Gu carried a long sword on his back, his face cold and valiant. It's already difficult for our 100 Races alliance to fight against the demon-winged race. If there are internal problems, there will be endless troubles. The red-robed old man sitting in the middle said, Bring him back and erase all connections with him. A man in a white robe said, By Chu Yuan, how can you say this in front of Lin Piao? It's not to be too murderous. Gu Qi, we all know how much harm the Black Dragon clan brought to us last time. I didn't say what would happen to the ethereal dynasty. I only said that everything related to the Black Dragon clan should be wiped out. Go. Elder Gu, go with Elder Bai. The human race must be stabilized and unstable factors must be dealt with. I believe Commander Lin will cooperate. The red-robed man sitting in the main seat made his decision. Night Sorrow, Lin Xian'er, and Datura were hunting evil spirits, but their progress was not slow. Lin Xian'er did not do much as she did not need his help. Night Sorrow's combat strength was vastly different from the last time he came. He could be said to be advancing unstoppably, and nothing could stop him. How many Emperor Realm evil spirits were there in the evil Punisher land? Not many. Even if they developed well, there were not many Heaven Monarch Realm evil spirits, let alone Emperor Realm evil spirits. How could they stop Night Sorrow? The world origin is moving, but it's not fast. After another battle, Night Sorrow spoke of his feelings. Is it moving naturally, or is there something that can sense us and evade us? Lin Xian'er asked. It's not moving fast and it's not moving in the opposite direction. It's moving naturally, and I can feel that it's different from the last time. Night Sorrow said. Could it be that when Guizu's soul was here last time, his magic treasure Ghost Wings was together with the world's origin, and Guizu controlled the Ghost Wings to move with the world's origin? Mandela voiced her thoughts. It's completely possible. The world origin is moving very fast this time, but it's not that ridiculous. Night Sorrow nodded. Yishan and the others continued forward. They killed as many evil spirits as they could. As for evil spirits with bodies, Yishan needed to use his spear to kill them. As for evil spirits without bodies, they couldn't withstand the vibrations of Yishan's space-time domain. A single vibration was enough to shatter and annihilate these evil spirits. Your domain is really domineering. If your other attributes enter the Emperor Realm and your domain fuses, then your domain will be domineering. Your domain is now a level 2 domain. Lin Xian'er said. What does a level 2 domain mean? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. It's very simple. A domain of a single attribute is a level 1 domain, and a domain of 2 attributes is a level 2 domain. Lin Xian'er explained the differences between domains to Night Sorrow. The higher the level of the domain, the more powerful it is? Night Sorrow looked at Lin Xian'er and asked. According to normal circumstances, This is the case. However, everyone's aptitude and talent are different, so the power of the domain is different. The wind-fire domain is a level 2 domain, but it has no advantage against the time domain or space domain. If it's a sovereign attribute domain, then it's different. However, no matter what attribute the domain is, it's necessary for cultivators to raise the level of their domain. Cultivators in the Emperor realm work hard to perfect their domain, but after entering the Emperor realm, it's impossible to raise the level of one's cultivation for countless years. Thank you, Sister Xianer, for clearing my doubts. Night Sorrow seemed to understand a little. There are some things that I won't avoid. Because you came from a domain, your starting point is a little low. There are some things and some cultivation paths that you have to explore on your own. This may be the biggest reason for slowing down your cultivation speed. Take it slow. The top cultivators in the celestial realm also explored step by step. Lin Xiano said, I know, people walk on their own paths. The first person to walk on his or her own path. Night Sorrow said, yes, it's good that you have such a way of thinking. You may face many difficulties in the early stages, but after you walk out of it, it's fundamentally different from cultivating step by step. Lin Xian admired Night Sorrow's mentality. Sister Xian, can you tell us more about Tianhuang City? Datira asked. Yes, I can. Some people in the celestial realm know about it. You know about the celestial and demon rankings. The top few on the celestial and demon rankings are all members of Tianhuang City. So is the War Emperor Lin Piaomiao. Lin Xianer said. Then she should be a core figure of Tianhuang City, right? Night Sorrow asked. _Z_most I square root new asterisk I chapter. Chapter 1701. Does that mean that the core of the Tianhuang City could be a member of the previous celestial demon list? Night Sorrow asked in surprise. It should be a member of the previous celestial demon list. Lin Xianer nodded. Rank 8 immortal. Are there many experts in the Tianhuang City? Datira's eyes were full of shock. No, why is there such a thing as reincarnation, epic and small epic? Because at this time, there will be a heavenly tribulation. Every 10 billion years is the Emperor Tribulation, and every 100 billion years is the Emperor Tribulation. A reincarnation tribulation is called the God Annihilation Tribulation. There are many experts on the celestial demon list, and they are the overlords in the world of cultivators, but they are powerless in the face of the heavenly tribulation. There is an emperor tomb in the Tianhuang City, and all the people buried there are supreme giants. No matter how powerful you are, when the tribulation comes, you will be insignificant. The emperor tomb appears, and the emperor tomb falls. This is a popular saying among high-level cultivators. Lin Xianer sighed. Seeing that Night Sorrow and Datira were puzzled, Lin Xianer explained in detail. Lightning tribulation, wind tribulation, and fire tribulation were all manifestations of the heavenly tribulation, but when it came to the epic tribulation, the tribulation was an energy body with heaven-defying combat power. This energy body appeared to kill supreme giants, so it was called the Immortal Tomb by the cultivators of the celestial realm. Can't get through it. Night Sorrow looked at Lin Xianer. There are those who can. Didn't the experts from the previous celestial demon list survive it? But that is a small tribulation, and every 10 billion years is a tribulation. After one tribulation, there will be 2 more, each more overbearing than the last. Finally, there will be the 9 heavenly tribulations, and then the Emperor Tribulation of 100 billion years. Why is it said that cultivators are fighting against the heavens? It is because of the existence of this tribulation. Lin Xianer said with a smile. Isn't this fatal? Datira sighed. What you said is too accurate. It's a matter of life and death. Misty Battle Emperor is still young. Regardless of his strength, he is still part of the younger generation in Tianhuang City. The only ones who can make decisions in Tianhuang City are the patriarchs of the human race and the leaders of the other races, Lin Xianer said. In fact, there were not many people who knew Tianhuang City better than she did. Elder Sister Xianer, you know so much? Night Sorrow looked at Lin Xianer. He felt that this was not something a rogue cultivator like Lin Xianer should know. Night sorrow. Everyone has their own privacy. Sister Xian, may have concealed her origins from you. So please don't mind her. Lin Xian, said as she looked at Night sorrow. I don't mind. What's there to mind? But, I'm now thinking that elder sister Xian, background must be astonishing. Let's set off. Night sorrow did not continue speaking, because Lin Xianer's words had already made it clear. It's good that you don't mind. No matter what happens in the future, we will always be friends. Lin Xianer smiled. She was very happy that Night sorrow didn't mind. That's right. Elder sister Xian, has a great background. I have a big thigh to rely on, Night sorrow said. Shameless thick-skinned. Datura scolded with a smile. As they advanced and fought, Night sorrow's cultivation gradually stabilized. Moreover, during the battle, he studied the direction to improve his combat strength. Night sorrow integrated his power of virtue into the space-time domain. The originally somewhat hazy space-time domain was filled with a vast golden light, and it was filled with a soul-stirring righteous aura. This is your advantage. When your body of virtue enters the 9th stage Emperor realm, there will be a qualitative change in your domain. This is your advantage. Even emperors can't help but envy you, Lin Xianer said. As they advanced and fought, Night sorrow perfected the integration of his power of virtue and the space-time domain. As they advanced, Night sorrow collected more and more flames of life. Night sorrow even killed a few 1-star and 2-star Emperor realm evil spirits. Night sorrow wanted to collect more, but there weren't many high-level evil spirits in the evil Punisher land. A% original version. Care of as time passed, Night sorrow and the other two got closer and closer to the evil Punisher land's origin. Although it was still in operation, Night sorrow had a premonition. Elder sister Xian, the origin of the world is intelligent. If we continue to advance, it might be alerted. If it is alerted, it will run away directly. We might not be able to catch up to it, Night sorrow said. My speed is still not bad. It's just that I can't sense where it is. Without a target, I can't chase after it. No matter what, we have to reach the range where it can be detected. Once we reach the range where it can be detected, leave it to me, Lin Xianer said. This was where Lin Xianer couldn't compare to Night sorrow. She was an Emperor realm emperor, but she was helpless against the origin of the world and couldn't get close to it. Elder sister Xianer, how about we approach it from the void turbulence? Once we're close, we'll go out. We can only say that we'll try our best. It's hard to say if there will be any results, Night sorrow said. Once we're close, we'll depend on elder sister Xianer. If we can't do it, then we won't be alive. I won't force it, Lin Xianer said with a smile. After cultivating for so many years, she was naturally open-minded about some things. After advancing for another distance, Night sorrow turned around and looked at Lin Xianer and Datura. It's about 1,000,000 miles away. We can't advance rashly. If we're not careful, it's easy to waste all our previous efforts. Aluo, enter my spatial treasure. Night sorrow nodded at Datura. He didn't say that to Lin Xianer because entering the spatial treasure meant that their lives depended on each other. It wasn't appropriate to speak rashly. After putting Datura into the 8-dragon cauldron, Night sorrow waved his space-splitting spear and blasted it at the spatial barrier. This spear was the void return to origin strike. The energy gathered into a point and blasted through the spatial barrier. Night sorrow's spear technique changed again, becoming the void extreme strike. The energy exploded at the point, and then the time vibration wave. It should be the space-time vibration wave, because the energy of time and space had already merged. Using all his strength, Night sorrow blasted a hole the size of a human head in the spatial barrier. Night sorrow entered in a flash. This time, he didn't even need to enter the 8-dragon cauldron. The energy in his body changed and his body shrank a lot. After Night sorrow entered, Lin Xianer also entered. Her body was covered in a purple halo. Void attribute. Turning around to look at Lin Xianer, Night sorrow was stunned. Lin Xianer was the same as him. She also had the sovereign void attribute. Yes, but it's not complete enough. It's not pure enough. It still lacks some maturity. You lead the way, and I'll lead you forward. Lin Xian'er waved her white sleeves lightly and wrapped Night Sorrow up. There was no need for Night Sorrow to consume energy to protect himself. Too powerful. This was what Night Sorrow felt at this moment. When he released his space-time domain, it was attacked by the spatial turbulence. It was still constantly shaking, as if it would be destroyed at any time. However, Lin Xian'er's void domain was incomparably stable. The domain had already become a solid cover, and ripples spread out in all directions, attacking the spatial turbulence. After Night Sorrow pointed out the direction, Lin Xian'er began to fly. Chapter 1702. Lin Xian'er's speed was fast. Even in the turbulent space, she didn't seem to be affected. It only took her 2 hours to cover a distance of 1,000,000 miles. And this was under the condition that the world source was still moving. Night Sorrow constantly pointed the way, because the world source was still moving. Guai is really with the world source. The array disk in Lin Xian'er's hand lit up. It was an array disk specially used to detect the existence of Guai. The world source is not easy to control. Sister Xian'er needs a plan. Night Sorrow reminded her. If it was a normal world source, it would indeed be difficult to control. However, the world source of evil punishing land has been controlled by Guai for a period of time. It is no longer a traditional world source, so its power should have decreased. Perhaps there is a chance. Lin Xian'er nodded to Night Sorrow. She already had a plan in her heart. It's not far ahead. Sister Xian'er, it's going to run. Hurry. At this time, Night Sorrow discovered that the world source was accelerating. Lin Xian'er's right hand formed a blade and slashed at the spatial barrier. She cut open the spatial barrier and rushed out in a flash. She naturally couldn't let the world source and Guai escape. Lin Xian'er chased after them. Night Sorrow rushed out of the turbulent space and didn't move. He only released Datura. It was useless for him to move. The world source and Lin Xian'er were too fast. His soul power couldn't lock onto them. Sister Xian'er chased after them? Datura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes, there is nothing we can do at this time. Night Sorrow nodded. He really couldn't help Lin Xian'er. If he couldn't keep up with her speed, he couldn't do anything. At this time, Lin Xian'er was already close to the source of the evil punishing land. She could also clearly see the form of the source of the evil punishing land. It was a pair of blue wings, and in the middle of the wings, there was a black light. Forever S novel C. Want to run? Don't even think about running today. Lin Xian'er accelerated again, displaying the full speed of the Emperor rank. Lin Xian'er knew that this was a great opportunity for her. It was the luck that Night Sorrow had brought to her, the luck of someone close to the body of merit. Lin Xian'er, who had used all her speed, drew closer to the world's origin. At this time, the world's origin flapped its wings, drew an arc in the air, and ran back the way it had come. However, the distance between the two of them was getting closer and closer. This was the power of Lin Xian'er's Emperor, the evil Punisher source. It wasn't as fast as her, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Lin Xian'er was confident that she could catch up to the source of the evil punishing grounds and control it. She felt that Guai and the source of the evil punishing grounds would not be able to escape, so the threat of the evil punishing grounds to the celestial realm could be resolved. The source of the evil punishing grounds ran in circles, and once again appeared in the range of Night Sorrow's spiritual strength. What's going on? Why did it run back? Its speed is really fast. Night Sorrow really didn't understand. When it was still 100 li away from Night Sorrow and Datura, Lin Xian'er's domain burst forth, suppressing the source of the evil punishing grounds that carried Guai. Her right hand reached out. An energy wrapped around the source of the evil punishing grounds and Guai. However, it wasn't completely suppressed. The source of the evil punishing grounds flapped its wings and continued to fly. Want to run? Stop for me. Lin Xian'er roared, and the energy in her body burst forth, completely suppressing the source of the evil punishing grounds that Guai carried. At this time, the source of the evil punishing grounds that carried Guai was completely suppressed by Lin Xian'er. However, an accident still happened. The pair of blue wings shook violently, and the world's origin bead embedded on them broke free from Lin Xianer's control and continued to fly away. Lin Xianer's right hand grabbed the still flapping blue wings, and then her body flickered as she continued to chase. If she could destroy the source of the evil punishing grounds, then the evil punishing grounds would become empty and barren, and the birth of evil spirits would be very difficult. The distance between Lin Xianer and the world's origin closed once again. Night Sorrow, get out of the way! Lin Xianer shouted at Night Sorrow, because Night Sorrow and Datura were on the escape route of the evil punishing grounds. Night Sorrow pulled Datura away from the flight path of the evil punishing grounds and dodged to the side. However, the direction of the evil punishing grounds escape had also changed, and it rushed towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow pulled Datura away, and the evil punishing grounds origin chased after them, while Lin Xianer chased after the world's origin. The three of them chased after each other, and the speed was obvious. Night Sorrow was the slowest, followed by the evil punishing grounds origin, and the fastest was Lin Xianer. The distance between the three of them was quickly closing. Suppress. Lin Xianer flipped her right hand, and a large energy hand covered the evil punishing grounds origin. A black light flashed on the evil punishing grounds origin, and then it accelerated, dodging Lin Xianer's energy hand, and rushed towards Night Sorrow. Block. Unable to dodge, Night Sorrow waved his arm, and the 8-dragon cauldron appeared, blocking the path of the world's origin. With the sound of metal clashing, the origin of evil punishers punched a hole in the 8-dragon cauldron. The origin of evil punishers, which had pierced through the 8-dragon cauldron, charged at Yishan. Mysterious yellow armor. Night Sorrow roared again. However, the evil punishing grounds origin was too fast, and before Night Sorrow's mysterious yellow armor could complete its defense, it directly shot into Night Sorrow's chest, sending Night Sorrow's body flying. Boundless energy rushed towards Night Sorrow's body, and the evil punishing grounds origin bead also rushed towards Night Sorrow's spirit sea. At this time, the 9-region origin bead in Night Sorrow's spirit sea moved, and a similarly boundless world's origin blasted towards the evil punishing grounds origin. Following a loud explosion, Night Sorrow's mind went blank, and he didn't know what happened next. At this time, in the eyes of Lin Xian, and Datura, Night Sorrow's body was constantly exploding, and energy was constantly bursting out. Night Sorrow's head was bleeding from all 7 orifices, and holes were constantly appearing on his body, shooting out energy from the holes. When Lin Xian, and Datura arrived, Night Sorrow had already fallen to the ground, and was no longer moving. Blood flowed from his mouth, and his body was riddled with holes. Night Sorrow. Datura reached out to help Night Sorrow up, but just as his hand touched Night Sorrow, he was directly sent flying by a wave of energy. Lin Xian, first helped Datura up. Don't touch him first, his body has become a battlefield between the origin beads of the 2 worlds. Now that the battle is over, the energy is still in his body, and this is a big problem. Lin Xian, understood what was going on. From the moment the evil punishing grounds origin entered Night Sorrow's body, she had been observing the flow of energy in Night Sorrow's body. The evil punishing grounds origin wanted to break through Night Sorrow's spirit sea, because Night Sorrow's spirit sea had the light of virtue, which was its natural enemy, and it contained the power of ghosts. Chapter 1703. Night Sorrow had lost consciousness, but the consciousness of the 9 regions origin bead was still present. It tried its best to protect Night Sorrow's body. The light of virtue in Night Sorrow's spirit sea also moved, enveloping Night Sorrow's body, and constantly purifying the ghostly power contained in the evil punishing land. Big Sister Xianer, how is Night Sorrow now? Datura was more anxious. At this moment, Night Sorrow was too miserable. His body was full of holes and blood flowed freely. He was hit by the energy impact and was knocked unconscious. His body has suffered a certain degree of damage, but it doesn't matter. His source was not damaged. This time he will benefit from this disaster, Lin Xianer said. The light of virtue purified the evil energy in Night Sorrow's body. After the purified energy was absorbed by Night Sorrow's body, the light of virtue also absorbed. It's good that he's not in danger. I wonder when he will wake up. Datura felt a little more at ease after hearing that Night Sorrow was not in danger. It's hard to say. The current situation for him is that he has been destroyed and rebuilt. His body has been shaken beyond recognition, but it is also an opportunity for him to absorb energy to strengthen himself and reconstruct himself. This is also thanks to his tyrannical body. If it were anyone else, let alone an emperor, even an imperial emperor's body would have been destroyed and exploded. Lin Xian, said after arriving in front of Night Sorrow and sensing the situation in Night Sorrow's body again. It's good that he's fine. You scared me to death, Datura said with lingering fear. We have the ghost wings. If Night Sorrow suffers any irrecoverable injuries because of this, I will not be able to live with myself. Lin Xian, said as she looked at the pair of light blue wings in her hand. At this moment, the pair of wings was still struggling. Guizhu, you left behind a lot of trump cards. Unfortunately, your time has passed. Accept your fate. Lin Xian, said as she looked at the blue wings. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the pair of blue wings, which was the ghost wings, struggled even more violently. For Aluo, help me and Night Sorrow keep watch. Night Sorrow's condition cannot be disturbed. I have to solve this problem. Lin Xian, pointed to the blue wings in her hand. Datura nodded her head. She knew that Night Sorrow was at a critical juncture and Lin Xian had to deal with Gue Yi. Night Sorrow woke up. He did not know how much time had passed. He wanted to move his body, but he could not. His whole body was in unbearable pain. Don't move. Try to circulate your body tempering technique and absorb the energy scattered in your body into your flesh and bones. The 9 regions origin bead's voice rang out. Night Sorrow could not even nod his head. He could only use the myriad Tao Tomes cultivation technique to cultivate the virtuous immortal body. It hurts. As he circulated his cultivation technique, Night Sorrow endured a heart-wrenching pain. He also discovered his situation. His bones were all shattered and his tendons and veins were all broken. His body was now like a tattered piece of linen. It was a tragic sight, so it was especially painful to circulate his energy. There was nothing he could do about the pain. Night Sorrow had to persevere. Otherwise, he would not be able to recover, and would continue to lie on the ground like mud. Because of the bone-piercing pain, Night Sorrow, who had not sweated for many years, had sweat flowing down his cheeks and his body was constantly trembling. Datura naturally knew about Night Sorrow's situation. She was extremely anxious and did not know what was going on. She could only watch as Night Sorrow endured the pain. Time passed in torment. Lin Xian, had already entered the time acceleration treasure to refine the ghost wings while Night Sorrow recovered. In the blink of an eye, a month passed and Lin Xian came out. She had refined the ghost wings for more than 3 years in the time acceleration treasure, before completely erasing the aura that Guizhu had left on the ghost wings. This was different from recognizing a master. The ghost wings was a treasure that Guizhu had used his soul power to nourish for countless years. It was very difficult to completely erase it. Otherwise, Lin Xian, would not have refined it for more than 3 years with her emperor rank cultivation. After lying in bed for a month, Night Sorrow's aura had stabilized a lot. However, he was still in seclusion, and had already passed the painful stage. His body was covered in golden light. He had already completed the destruction and reconstruction. The bones in his body were already infinitely close to the lustrous golden bones. Night Sorrow already knew about his situation. However, he was somewhat regretful, because no matter how strong his clone was, his main body could not cultivate. His cultivation realm could not keep up, and he could not complete the breakthrough. However, the 9 regions origin bead told Night Sorrow a piece of news that made him feel at ease. At that time, in order to ensure that Night Sorrow's body was not broken, the 9 regions origin bead had gathered and sealed 2/3 of the energy of the evil punishing land to the greatest extent. In other words, when Night Sorrow's main body needed it, the 9 regions origin bead could give this energy to Night Sorrow to use. Night Sorrow's heart trembled. If his main body wanted to reach the strength of his clone, he would need to be destroyed and reconstructed. The pain of broken bones and tendons was unavoidable. 1.5 months later, Night Sorrow woke up. His cultivation had been completed. The strength of his body had already reached the peak of the 8th rank. He could not break through because of the limitations of his main body. He opened his eyes and stood up. Night Sorrow stretched his waist. Immediately, crackling sounds came from his body. The energy in his body surged and light rippled in all directions. I've reached the critical point. If I take another step forward, my physical attacks will be able to carry the power of heaven and earth. Lin Xianer said. Elder Sister Xianer, I'm sorry. The evil punishing land's origin bead ran into my body and caused Elder Sister Xian to miss out on an opportunity. Night Sorrow looked at Lin Xianer apologetically. What are you talking about? A pair of sky blue wings is already a heaven-defying opportunity. Sky blue wings are ghost wings, a name that Guizhu forcefully changed. Lin Xianer's body trembled, and a pair of energy wings appeared on her back. That's good. Our mission this time has been completed. The 300 fires of life that we need to hand over to the Ethereal War Emperor has also been settled. After hunting for a while we can return, Night Sorrow said. The message that the Ethereal War Emperor had asked Song Ning to pass on was to ask for 300 fires of life. There was no mention of grade, which meant that they just had to be mixed up like last time. In the future, the fires of life in this evil punishing land will get lesser and lesser. Night Sorrow, you can wait for a large amount of merit to be added to your body. This will completely solve a hidden danger. The thicker the merit, the stronger your foundation. Even if the heavenly desolate city receives news that is not beneficial to you, they won't make things too difficult for you. Lin Xianer said with a smile. Lin Xianer said with a smile. She knew that Yi Shang had reaped a great harvest this time. It was an unintentional harvest. Then let my body enter the Emperor realm. Night Sorrow communicated with the 9 domains origin bead and controlled it to leave his body. The 9 domains origin bead left Night Sorrow's body and drew an arc in the air, breaking through the spatial barrier and disappearing. Night Sorrow, what's going on with you? Lin Xian was a little confused. Datira was also a little confused. Chapter 1704. Night Sorrow, you're not bad. Your spacetime attribute can enter the Emperor realm. Your body can enter the Emperor realm, and your chi has room to develop. No one can compare to you at this stage. Lin Xianer's eyes were full of praise. After that, Night Sorrow and the other 2 continued to kill evil spirits in the evil Punisher land. 2 days later, Night Sorrow's main body received the 9-region origin pearl. The moment he received the 9-region origin pearl, golden lotuses appeared in the sky and the light of virtue descended. The heavenly Tao's rules covered all parts of the celestial realm. Perhaps there was a cycle, but the world's origin was always covered. Therefore, when the 9-region origin pearl reached Night Sorrow's main body, the light of virtue also arrived. It was stronger than the last time, much stronger. Golden lotuses filled the sky, and the sound of nature was constantly heard. Fortunately, Night Sorrow was the only one who comprehended the will of nothingness, so it didn't cause much of a commotion. Square root K forever. For a long time free of charge. Night Sorrow's power of virtue continued to increase rapidly. He broke through the virtuous great sage and entered the virtuous heavenly monarch realm, and continued to climb. Night Sorrow understood why the reward this time was so great. It was because he had solved the root of the threat to the celestial realm from the evil Punisher land. He had solved the root of the problem. After entering the virtuous heavenly monarch realm, the light of virtue continued to descend. This didn't require Night Sorrow to cultivate. The heavenly Tao's reward was the same. Surpassing the virtuous heavenly monarch realm continued. Half-Emperor. Half-Emperor. When he reached the peak of the virtuous heavenly monarch realm, Night Sorrow felt that he could break through, but he couldn't. The light of virtue continued to descend. Night Sorrow understood that this matter could only reach this level. It wasn't that he didn't have enough merit, but that he didn't have enough merit for the celestial realm. He still needed to do something for the celestial realm. As long as he did it right, he could become the virtuous heavenly monarch. The leakless golden body circulated and locked the virtuous golden light. Night Sorrow entered the clear sky pagoda. He wanted to speed up his cultivation and rush his body into the 9th stage martial emperor realm. At that time his combat strength would increase slightly. Looking at himself, Knight Sorrow sighed. Some pain still had to be endured. After Knight Sorrow protected his divine sea and Dantian, he communicated with the 9 regions origin pearl and told it was done. At that moment, the 9 regions origin bead released the power it had sealed. It was even stronger than what Knight Sorrow had endured in the evil Punisher space. That was because Knight Sorrow's original body was slightly stronger than his avatar. Without enough power, it could not break Knight Sorrow's tendons and bones. It could not completely break him. Knight Sorrow's clone, who was meditating to sense his merit cultivation, suddenly lost his balance. Then, a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. That's really strong. What's wrong with you? Lin Xian'er and Datura each grabbed one of Knight Sorrow's arms. My original body was cultivating and broke the tendons and bones in his body. The energy was too strong and rushed to the divine sea. I was also affected. Knight Sorrow took a deep breath and recovered. His original body's soul had been affected, but the effect on his avatar was only temporary. What's the level of your virtuous body? Lin Xian'er asked. I'm at the peak of the virtuous half-martial emperor realm, and have accumulated a lot of virtuous light. I only lack the opportunity to enter the virtuous monarch realm, Knight Sorrow said. Then Knight Sorrow's group of 3 continued forward. However, Knight Sorrow's condition was not good. The pain his original body was enduring was also felt by his avatar. When his avatar was cultivating, Knight Sorrow's original body was meditating, so the impact was not great. In addition, his original body was the main body, so the avatar's pain was not intense. Now that it was the other way around, Knight Sorrow's avatar was experiencing intense sensory stimulation and could no longer fight. In this situation, the 3 of them could only rest. Knight Sorrow quietly meditated, enduring the consequences of his original body's cultivation. The Emperor realm was very important, whether it was Qi or the body. Why didn't Knight Sorrow leave Ling Qianhui's corpse? Because it was useless. The evil spirits in the dark abyss of the world of reincarnation couldn't harm him at all. Even if he used evil spirits to deal with opponents, they would only be below the 9th rank. Aluo, I'm sorry. You didn't get any opportunities in both times. Lin Xian'er looked at Datura and said apologetically. Sister Xian'er, don't say that. You've helped me a lot. My domain of death has already changed. It's a rare opportunity, Datura said with a smile. The destruction stone that Lin Xian'er gave her had greatly increased her strength. And it's good that it suits you. Lin Xian'er nodded. The 3 of them camped for a day. Knight Sorrow's body changed. The destruction divine wind and soul extinguishing flame appeared again. Emperor realm tribulation. Knight Sorrow's clone meditated for a day, but his original body cultivated in the clear sky god pagoda for 1.5 months. Looking at the situation of Knight Sorrow's body, Lin Xian'er and Datura knew what was going on. Knight Sorrow's cultivation had entered the Emperor realm. It was the strength of his body. After withstanding the wind and fire tribulation, Knight Sorrow didn't feel any danger this time. It was also an opportunity because this was a chance for him to comprehend the will of destruction. Because they weren't worried, Datura and Lin Xian'er made tea and chatted. Knight Sorrow enjoyed the feeling of enlightenment brought by the destruction divine wind, because such an opportunity was hard to come by. The tribulation took 3 days to pass. Knight Sorrow's virtuous immortal body had entered the Emperor realm, and his will of destruction had reached 99%. This meant that he would reach the perfection stage if he improved further. This was a bottleneck that couldn't be comprehended by force. He needed an opportunity to break through. After the tribulation passed, Yi Shuang's avatar's body cultivation also reached stage 9 as his true body's realm increased. In such a short period of time, your strength has soared again. This is simply too terrifying. Lin Xian'er said. In the celestial realm, the virtuous sage had appeared, but the virtuous sage hadn't. Now that Knight Sorrow had broken through the virtuous heavenly monarch, he had directly become a virtuous half-emperor. This was an unprecedented trend. Cultivating his body to the emperor realm, was also an incredible achievement that ordinary people wouldn't dare to think about. Luck, but I stole Sister Xianer's opportunity. Night Sorrow said. What's wrong with the two of you? Without your help, would I have gotten the opportunity to obtain the sky blue wings? I should be the one thanking you. But we're friends, so there's no point in saying this. Lin Xianer said. The three of them continued to move forward and collect the fire of life. The three of them wouldn't come here again in the future. Even if they did, there wouldn't be many evil spirits to kill. While Night Sorrow's group was training, 3 elders came to Ethereal City. One of them had a long sword on his back and a cold aura on his face. He was the Heaven Desolation City's Guqi. The other one was Bai Chuyuan with a cold expression. He was the brother of the Heaven Extreme Sage Emperor. This time, he was also the one who received the news from Ling Daoxiu. The last one was an elder wearing a robe embroidered with spiritual herbs. He was the elder of the Spiritual Tree Clan. When the 3 of them arrived, Lin Piaomiao appeared and led the 3 of them to the city lord's mansion. May I know what the 3 elders are here for? Lin Piaomiao sat on the main seat. Commander Lin, you're asking the obvious. Bai Chuyuan said. Chapter 1705. Calm down, Commander Lin. Bai Chuyuan, we're here for business. Guqi waved his hand at Lin Piaomiao and looked at Bai Chuyuan. Bai Chuyuan's face was filled with anger, but he turned his head to the side. Elder Gu, please speak. Lin Piaomiao ignored Bai Chuyuan. It's about the appearance of the black dragon in the human territory. We want to capture that dragon language and Night Sorrow, who took in the dragon language. We don't know the details, but we have to deal with it once we get the news. Commander Lin, please tell us what you know. After all, this is the decision of the elders. Guqi said. All right. Then I'll tell you. The dragon language came to the celestial realm from the lower realm alone. He came through the passage opened by Night Sorrow. After that, he had no contact with Night Sorrow. Some time ago, the despicable celestial sect captured the dragon language and wanted to refine it alive. Night Sorrow got the news and saved him since we came out together. I didn't think it was a big problem, so I didn't do anything. Lin Piaomiao said. At her level, there was no need to lie. Commander Lin, this doesn't seem like much, but it's a big problem. We don't mean to blame you, but the black dragons wouldn't appear for no reason. I'm from the Spiritual Tree Clan, but I don't want to see problems in the human territory. So we have to deal with the dragon language. As for Night Sorrow, let's talk to him. If there's no problem, we won't make things difficult for him. The Spiritual Tree Clan Elder said. Thank you for your understanding, Spiritual Tree Clan Elder. I don't care about the dragon language. You can capture or kill him if you want. But Night Sorrow is the Lord of the Misty Dynasty. So please handle this carefully. Lin Piaomiao said. All right. The Spiritual Tree Clan Elder nodded. P-Yong unspecified currency watch videos for free. Speak. Then please rest. Night Sorrow isn't in the Imperial City. He entered the Evil Punisher land and will be back in a month. Men. Arrange a VIP room. Lin Piaomiao shouted at the City Lord Mansion's guards. Night Sorrow's group of 3 charged towards the entrance of the Evil Punisher grounds. If there were any flames of life, they would collect them. In less than 3 months, the 3 of them returned to the vicinity of the Evil Punisher gate. Night Sorrow removed the transmission array, because there was no need to enter again. After exiting the Evil Extermination gate, Night Sorrow's group of 3 returned to the Night Moon Villa. After a while, Songning arrived and told Night Sorrow about the incident. So I'm about to be interrogated? Night Sorrow smiled and felt that he had a clear conscience since he didn't betray the human race. Just do what needs to be done. You're upright and there's nothing to be afraid of. They can't just pin a label on you for no reason. However, not every clan elder of the 100 Races Alliance is upright and plain-spoken. There are also some narrow-minded people. You have to be careful. Lin Xianer looked at Night Sorrow and said. Following that, Night Sorrow followed Songning to the City Lord Mansion. Lin Piaomiao sat on the City Lord's chair. 3 clan elders will be here in a while. No matter what, I won't let you be threatened. However, because this involves the human race and the 100 Races Alliance, No one can act on their own. Not even I can. Thank you, Battle Emperor. If Night Sorrow is in trouble, I hope you can continue to support the Star Moon Lake. Night Sorrow will be eternally grateful. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Lin Piaomiao. Don't worry about this. As long as the Misty Dynasty exists, the Star Moon Lake will also exist. This is my promise. Lin Piaomiao said. Night Sorrow nodded. He vaguely felt that this matter might be a little serious. Otherwise, the Battle Emperor Lin Piaomiao wouldn't say this. After a short while, Gu Qi, by Chu Yuan, an elder Lingshu arrived and sat down. You are Night Sorrow? Gu Qi, who was carrying a long sword on his back, looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I am. Night Sorrow nodded. Then where is the Black Dragon's member, Dragon Language? Gu Qi asked. Night Sorrow isn't sure. After rescuing her, she stayed for a few days and left. As for where she went, I don't know. Night Sorrow glanced at Gu Qi and the other two and said. You still dare to be vague and not tell us the truth? Bai Chu Yuan slapped the armrest of the chair. Tell you the truth? Am I a criminal? Did I commit a heinous crime? Yishan looked at Bai Chu Yuan. He found Bai Chu Yuan an eyesore. Bai Chu Yuan was always bossy and annoying. Do you want to die? Bai Chu Yuan couldn't hold it in anymore. All right. You have the strength and the fist. You have the authority today. However, I don't know anything about the Black Dragons. I know Dragon Language, but I don't know anything about her. I don't know her whereabouts either. Night Sorrow took a deep breath. Using Ling Qianhui's words, he was a fish on the chopping block because he couldn't see through the cultivation of the three elders. You think it's okay if you don't know? Bai Chu Yuan roared. If I don't know, are you going to force me to say it? Night Sorrow was enraged. If he had the strength, he would have punched Bai Chu Yuan's old face. Young man, this is a big matter for the human race. We are only here to resolve some hidden dangers. Gu Qi extended his arm and stopped Bai Chu Yuan, who was about to speak. Senior, can I say a few words? Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Gu Qi. Speak. Gu Qi nodded at Yi Shang. Today was his first time seeing Yi Shang, but he admired him because Yi Shang had a heroic spirit that flourished. Night Sorrow explained the situation in the Devil Blood domain, how he interacted with the Dragon Language, and the history of the Dragon Language. You won the domain war. She helped you a lot. From your point of view, that's right. However, from the human race's point of view, there's a problem. The last time the human race led the alliance to fight the Devil-Winged race, the battle ended with a huge loss of manpower. At this time, the Black Dragons invaded and the human race lost 2 elders. The elders are the foundation of the human race in the celestial realm. You might think that we implicated the innocent, but that's not the case, Gu Qi said. Senior, please speak clearly. Night Sorrow knew that Gu Qi had more to say. You're not even 200 years old. There are some things you don't understand. Some races conceal some soul information before they are born. Therefore, you don't know the specifics of the Dragon Language. Perhaps you're innocent. However, the human race can't take the risk. Last time, the human race suffered too much. 2 elders died and many emperors and emperors fell. Do you understand what I'm saying? Gu Qi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow felt helpless and even lost. He couldn't refute Gu Qi's words because he was a human. I understand. Senior, how do you plan to deal with this? Night Sorrow knew that this was the way things were going to go. We'll deal with the Dragon Language. You don't have to take responsibility. However, we have to study your problem, Gu Qi said. Scum of the human race, what's there to study? Just kill him. Bai Chu Yuan stood up and his aura surged. He was about to attack. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.